Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Real Talk, episode 166. That number keeps getting bigger and bigger, and it is fucking crazy. Even crazier to think that our real quicks are pushing like 300 at this point. But packed episode. You got myself, you got Tyler, Cam still moving. We love you, Cam. We miss you. Seth, I don't know where Seth is today. I don't even know if he told us, but Seth's missing as well. We love you. We miss you, Seth, too. But you got myself, you got Tyler. We're going to talk Frankenstein. We're going to talk Die My Love. And we're going to talk Better Badlands. And then depending on timing, maybe we'll do like a quick Oscars discussion since we're like officially approaching awards season. I know the Gotham Awards don't really have any tell on like what's going to happen at the Oscars, but like the Gotham Awards are a pretty good like point of reference if you want to know when like awards season like truly starts. And then we'll go through our news, our trailers. Not too much happened over the last week, but a couple of notable items to chat about. As always, shout out to our executive producers, Mr. Ollie Powell, Stefan Johnson, and Cole Beaver. If you're not a patron and you want to, take a look at our patron perks, take a look at the links in the bio below. Everything is outlined pretty neatly. Patreon is cool. The Discord is cool. We've built a lovely little, I know we say this all the time, but we truly mean it. We've built a lovely little community over on Discord. And, even if you're not in our patron, we hope we've built a lovely little community of Real Talk followers and subscribers. So yeah, take a look at our links. They're pretty cool. We're pretty cool. Tyler, we'll start with you because it's just you. What's up?
Yeah, hectic week last week after recording Real Talk. I had to go to Buffalo for work for one day, so I flew out. I had to get up at like 3 a.m. Sunday to get to the airport at a 5 a.m. flight. So I flew to Detroit, and then I flew from Detroit to Buffalo. My flight was, so the Chiefs played at Buffalo on Sunday, and that's when I was flying to Buffalo, and the flight landed there at like noon. The game's at like 4 o'clock. So my flight was like me, my coworker who was from Detroit, and then everyone else was just like dressed to the nines in Buffalo or Chiefs gear. So we were very out of place on that flight, but it was like super fun vibes. Like everyone was super hyped. But my work wasn't actually in Buffalo. It was in like Northwest Pennsylvania, in like the middle of nowhere, but that was the closest airport. So I flew, connected through Detroit, got to Buffalo, had to drive like 2 hours then to rural Pennsylvania. So just a long travel day. Was there Monday, turned right back around, went back to the Buffalo airport, flew back. So at least no travel delays. It worked out well. But with this government shutdown, I'm just like, I keep seeing stuff all over TikTok of like, San Francisco airport grounds all flights. I think LaGuardia just did the other day. Like I don't know.
200 flights. 200 flights have been canceled over the last like 3 weeks, and then another like 700 to 1,000 have been delayed.
Yeah, I don't know
it's been
how.
Insane.
Like with Thanksgiving coming up and like the holiday seasons when everyone's traveling, it's the busiest travel time of the year. And obviously my wedding's coming up soon. But
I was and your wedding too.
Yeah, logically, I would say by the time New Year's comes around, the government shutdown should hopefully be done, but you just never know with this like current administration. But yeah, flying right now just seems absolutely crazy. It seems like it's a crapshoot every time you go, if it's going to be on time, if it's even going to happen. And it seems like every day it goes by, the odds get less and less in your favor. So hopefully that gets done soon because it's annoying. But I don't travel again, at least for right now, for a few more weeks, which is nice. So it's like the longest I've had without like knowing I'm going to travel, but something can always pop up last minute as it usually does. But yeah, I got back late Monday. So the rest of the week's been pretty standard overall. Just been watching movies and watching college football. Speaking of movies, I've been watching on my flight to Buffalo. I watched Relay, which is a movie from this year. Well, it's from last year technically, but it was got a release this year. Directed by David Mackenzie. The only other film I've seen from him is Hell or High Water, which I really enjoyed. Didn't really care for this as much. I mean, Hell or High Water was written by Taylor Sheridan, which probably carries a lot of the weight of how much I enjoyed that movie. But this is a movie that was a very small release this year. But when I saw the trailer for it, I like kind of filed it in the back of my brain. Like, when I need just like an easy watch, I'm going to watch this because the premise is interesting. Riz Ahmed plays like this fixer who does everything through a relay phone service. So basically, like people call him with their troubles that they're trying to get. So whatever is happening, if a employer is coming after you for being a whistleblower or what have you, you come to him with what's going on, and they like translate it through like this like text to speech thing. So no, you'll like never hear what he sounds like, but he just kind of is in the shadows, making everything happen. Pretty fun. But the end of the movie, basically, well, not the end of the movie, like where the movie goes, the whole like build up of the movie has like a really stupid twist, and it kind of ruins it for me. But still 2.5 star. Like it was like fun. It was a perfect plane watch. Like it's a thriller with an interesting premise. Lily James and Riz Ahmed, great performances. Sam Worthington's in this as well. So it's like great acting, thrilling movie, fun premise. Just doesn't really come to a close. And then I watched Frankenstein, of course. I also watched Die My Love, and then Riley and I watch.
You didn't.
I haven't logged either of them yet. No.
Okay, I was gonna say
I haven't logged my last 3 movies. It was like when the letterbox went down, I just haven't recovered and come back yet when it came back. But yeah, so I watched Die My Love and Frankenstein. Did not get to Predator Badlands, but we'll chat about that in a bit. And then Riley and I watched The Perfect Neighbor a few days ago, the documentary on Netflix. I think Seth talked about it last week or the week before that he watched it. Yeah, definitely a hard watch, a frustrating watch. Very interesting delivery.
That's the body cam one, right?
Yeah, body cams and dash cams and 911 calls. But yeah, just like a super frustrating movie for just how, calls to the police can be ignored. Clearly mental health not being a factor for a lot of gun owners. Like it just makes you think that people, even if they have like a sound mental health and can pass the mental health checks when they can procure a gun, you almost think like you need like yearly tests or checkups to like verify, like to keep that gun license. Cause I fully believe there's people that were completely good intentioned and in right state of mind when they procured their weapons, and something over time decays and they're not the same person mentally that they were when they got that gun, and they should not still be in possession of that. But yeah, just a strong documentary. I mentioned this like a few months ago that like Netflix does way too much true crime that is just like fetishizing these serial killers or taking these true stories and turning it into big Hollywood blockbusterized spectacles that people eat up and love and watch, but it just seems a little scummy. Whereas I feel like their bread and butter is like they've always been great at making documentaries or producing or acquiring documentaries and getting a strong library. And it's like, I wish they would stick more in that wheelhouse, in that bag, as opposed to just basically just grabbing the newest heartthrob and like turning him into a serial killer and making a TV show that, teenage and young adult women are just going to like fawn over and obsess over the guy, when that's just like not what you should be going for when you're making movies about people that murdered a bunch of people. So I think they do great stuff with documentaries. I think this one's great as well. Yeah, it's kind of all I've been watching and what I've been up to. Yeah, that's it.
Nice. How's I'm asking because I finally booked my flights. How's like wedding prep going?
Going well. We are mostly there, like collecting the final RSVPs now. Got like everything kind of like booked and ready. There's a couple final things, like final details with like the flowers that we have to get set up. We have to still get our wedding bands and such. Then we got to figure out how to like go to the courthouse and actually like get married and such. Cause every state's like different. Like I think you said like you and Victoria got married like before.
Yeah. We got our marriage license
you go to like
before
court
we got
and do
married.
it. But then we know some people in Minnesota where they like get married, like they like either sign the papers at the wedding or like they go after the wedding. Like, I don't know. Like, every state's just different. And I think Texas sounds like it might be similar to New York, where it's like, we're probably going to go like early December and get married in the courts. But yeah, it's just have to figure that out and then get wedding bands. And that's kind of it for the most part. And then just trying to prep for everyone coming and figuring out like, how are we going to spend our time and greet all our guests and make everything a worthwhile week. Cause technically Riley has 2 friends that are 2 of her bridesmaids that moved to Austin like a week after us. But other than them 2,
I was going to say you probably have like 95% of your wedding flying in, right?
Yeah. And that's like, might even be an understatement. It's like literally 2 guests will be local to Austin. Everyone else in both of our families will be flying or driving in. All of our friends are not in Texas. So it's like a lot of people traveling in, like everyone traveling in. So it's trying to figure out how to go about like, entertaining and like
Yeah.
making it all work. So, but yeah, for now, nothing too crazy. Riley has her
Nice.
bridal shower in the weekend after Thanksgiving up in Dallas. That's kind of like the next milestone, going up there for that.
Nice.
But that's an easy drive, just not having to fly. So I'm trying to avoid
Yeah.
flying at all costs right now, just because I just don't think it's fun. Even the flights that aren't delayed, like I just see videos on TikTok every day of like TSA lines, and everything just seems like
Horrifying.
just like flying already is just like not a fun
Yeah.
experience, and it just seems 10 times worse now.
Then you add a government shutdown and it just gets a little bit worse.
Yep. How has your week been? What have you been up to?
My week's good. I actually spent a little time slowly, like I don't know like what our itinerary for Austin's gonna look like. Obviously, I gotta talk to like Cam and Seth and kind of figure out like, dude, there's a lot to do in Austin. I didn't realize this. I didn't realize how much there is in Austin.
Yeah, what kind of stuff have you been looking at?
I don't know. I'm not the biggest like, museum kind of person. Like the way I kind of told you guys to like avoid the Met, like just walk around the Met. It's like one of those things. So I don't know. I'm looking at like fun like restaurants and bars that we can like sit into and hang out at. But then you also sent us like that map, and that circle you drew was so massive. So now I'm like, oh shit, I got to expand my search. But no, I'm excited. I've never been to Austin. I think I went to Austin once for a connecting flight, so I never left the airport.
Have you been to Texas, period? Like ever got out
No.
of an airport in Texas?
Yeah, never in my life.
Yeah, that's exciting.
So this will be a first time, which I'm very excited about, and obviously excited to see all of you guys again and hang out.
I really can't wait for Seth to see it too, because like New York was his first time ever in America, so he's just gonna get like two polar opposite,
two really different
sides of America.
He's gonna have to come back in like June and go to like Oregon or something.
Yeah, something in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah,
Twin Peaks vibes down. Yeah, like I just keep switching it up every time.
Yeah. But no, my week was good. We recorded last Saturday, right? Yeah. So Sunday was the New York City Marathon. Always a fun time. It's super hectic. So I don't know if you remember, but like this is First Avenue right here. And the marathon, once the runners cross the 59th Street Bridge, they run up First Avenue until like 120th Street.
So you're by like the start, you're saying, of the race?
No, I'm at mile 18. They start in like Staten Island, and they go through Brooklyn, and then they come up through Manhattan around the Bronx, and then down back into Manhattan through Central Park. So like I'm in that stretch between miles like 15 to 20, maybe. It's like a 5-mile stretch. It just goes right up First Avenue, which kind of sucks for us because we're on the east side of First Avenue. We hang out with my sister and her friends on Marathon Day, which is on the west side of First Avenue. So it's like impossible to cross First Avenue because they don't really let you cross First Avenue because runners are fucking running by. So we leave like a little bit early, and we're waiting to cross at like 10. We probably don't cross until like 10:30. We're probably waiting for a half hour. And then we were at my sister's all day, came out to First Avenue and like watched the runners. One of my sister's best friends was running, so we saw her. And then like when we wanted to come home at around like 3:30, whenever we came home, we can't just cross back over First Avenue because it's runners, a million runners. So we ended up like walking all the way down to 59th Street around First Avenue, like below where the marathon was, and then back up to 76th Street. So it's like an exhausting like exercise day, even if you're not in the marathon. But then what like kind of sucks for us being on First Avenue, like it's fun. Like when you look out our window, you could oversee First Avenue and you see all the runners, but there was a DJ right outside our apartment window, and he ended up not playing as late as I thought he would. He probably just like was like gearing up and to leave at like 6 o'clock, which isn't terrible. But it's just such a hectic day because it's like everyone in the city's out. Everyone that lives in Manhattan is out in the streets, and it's so crazy. Subways are packed. First Avenue's packed. We didn't even bother going to Central Park to the finish line because that shit's packed. But yeah, Marathon Sunday's crazy. Fun day. It's a pretty fun day. I'm sure it's like more fun if, I don't know, you care more about it. But I don't really care about the marathon. But yeah, and then what am I missing? Die My Love. Went to the Die My Love event. Did I talk about this already?
I don't think so. I thought that was like Monday or Tuesday you went. No,
Yeah,
you went Saturday night, I think, wasn't it?
yeah, that was sad. That was Saturday night, Die My Love.
And we recorded Saturday morning, so
What?
you didn't talk about that.
Oh yeah, yeah. Saturday night was Die My Love. We recorded Saturday morning, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
and then okay, and then the marathon was Sunday. Okay, so I'm going out of order. Sorry. Die My Love premiere, fun event, put on by Mubi. So it's always funny, like getting like an email from Sophie that's like very formal from work. Hey George, pleased to invite you. It's always like, so I'm like, you could just text me. Like, you could just be like, hey, come to this event this time. But a cool event. Martin Scorsese introduced the film, which was really cool. And then like the cast and the crew came out to intro the film. And then the after party was at this like Lincoln Center restaurant. Same place that Alex and I were at for the Peacemaker after party. So really cool place. I briefly chatted with so briefly. I chatted with Lynn Ramsey, the director. She was like walking by, and she's like this cute little old lady. So I like turned around, and I was like, I just want to tell you, you're like the most incredibly talented woman out there, and this movie was so incredible. And she looks at me and she goes, that's the nicest thing anyone has said to me all night. And then she gives me this really big hug, like this really big, like old lady type of hug where like I felt safe in the moment. Like I felt secure, it was really cool. Pattinson and like Lakeith Stanfield were at the after party, but obviously didn't go up to them. They didn't really hang around all that long. Like Pattinson was probably there for like an hour. Lakeith same. Jennifer Lawrence didn't even show up to the after party. She's got kids at home, obviously. But overall fun event. We'll chat the movie in a little bit. Got out to play some tennis on Wednesday at Roosevelt Island. Fun. I got to play tennis more. I'm just not playing tennis enough, and I really just want to play more tennis. It's just so unbelievably expensive if you want to play indoors in the city, especially if you play during like peak hours, which at tennis facilities apparently is like 2 p.m. till 10 p.m. So that's just hours. That's just all hours of the day.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very annoying. And then I think those were the only like things, like events that I really did. Been trying to watch more short films lately. Usually at work, what I do is I'll leave my desk, I'll go get my lunch, and then I'll immediately come back to my desk and like work while I eat. Like I don't like stop. I don't like take a traditional lunch where I'm like sitting in a cafeteria and not focusing on work. Like I'll grab my lunch, come back to my desk, eat, and work at the same time. I'm trying to be better about leaving my desk, helping me reduce stress and anxiety. So what I'm doing now is I'm getting my lunch and I'm going to our like either on my floor, there's like booths that you could sit at, or you can go down to the third floor and sit in the cafeteria. So I'm doing one of those now for like a half hour. But also I don't want to fall into brain rot. So I don't want to be scrolling TikTok for like a half hour. So instead of doom scrolling socials, I've decided to just start throwing on short films. And I've been pretty good about it. I've been watching a chunk lately, which I'm really, really happy about. I don't know how long this is going to last, but I've queued up a bunch in my watch list. There's no rhyme or reason as to like the short films I'm watching. It's just kind of like I'll look at like letterbox lists of like thousands of short films, and whatever catches my eye and whatever is within like 25 minutes, I'll just throw on. So been watching a lot. I talked about a couple last week. This week I watched this one from this year called The God Man. Really beautiful, very, very quick, like 9-minute science fiction short film about this guy who discovers like this hollow carcass that's like floating through the air, and it's about like this astronaut finding like peace in this like unknown object, and it's really beautiful. It's on YouTube for free. Most of these are. I watched David Lynch cooks quinoa. So I was watching this one, really funny. For like the first like it's how long is it? It's pretty long. It's like maybe a half hour. It's 21 minutes. For the first like 5-6 minutes, he's literally just cooking quinoa. That's it. He's cooking quinoa and he's talking about quinoa. And I'm sitting there and I'm like why am I finding this impressive? Like I could do this. Like I could record myself making fucking quinoa. Then for the next like 16 minutes, He stops cooking quinoa and he just talks. He tells two different stories, and they're dumb stories, but they're the most captivating things I've ever heard because David Lynch is so stupidly passionate about everything he talks about. And I was actually watching this short film getting annoyed. I was like, this is frustrating that this dude can talk about bullshit and I'm so locked in. Like, it's absolutely annoying. But that
David
was a
Lynch
fun
cooks
one.
quinoa. That's the recommendation, huh?
Yeah, David Lynch cooks quinoa. It's 21 minutes. It's free on YouTube. I'm adding a free on YouTube tag on my short films. I don't know if you've noticed. And people are still commenting, "Where did you watch this?" And it's the funniest shit in the world.
Yeah, that's like
Uh,
in the same vein of when you like make a video explaining exactly your thoughts on a movie and say like 4 out of 5 or 4.55, and then the comments like recommend question mark like I don't know. I just told you why I liked it so much for the past 2 minutes.
It's so stupid. I watched this horror short called "The Mayflower." Um, this was quick. This was like 7-8 minutes. This one kind of reminded me of like a live action Love, Death, and Robots episode where it was like this engineer. He just wakes up randomly on a space, not randomly, but he wakes up out of like cryo sleep on a spaceship, and like a bunch of weird shit is happening around him. A bunch of weird shit is happening to him. So it was like very for like 7 minutes. I was pretty impressed with like the practicality and just how gross it was. But still 7 minutes, not enough time to like really like expand on anything, but pretty cool for what it was. I watched a short called Hedgehog in the Fog. Don't watch this one at work. This one nearly made me cry. Man, this one was fucking beautiful. This little hedgehog just wanted to go see his bear friend, gets caught in fog, and a bunch of creepy shit starts happening around him. And it's really sad because he's by himself and he's like this little baby hedgehog, and
Is it
it was
animated?
gorgeous. Yeah, it was animated. It's from 1975. It's a
Oh
Russian
wow.
short from 1975 from this guy named Yuri Norstein. He also made that short Tale of Tales. He's he's like this old Soviet Russian animator. Um, which I got to watch more of his shorts. It's crazy. I'm starting to notice Rob Zombie might be the blueprint because white horses show up in this short from 1975, and Rob Zombie's a big white horse guy in Halloween too. I don't know if you remember that.
Your
Tropic.
numbers this year on Letterbox are crazy right now for like
Yeah, it's
number
just
of films on the year because the
I'm just
short
stat
films are inflating.
padding short films, man. That's all I'm doing.
Yeah.
I've always also been watching a chunk of visual albums. These are my favorite things in the world. These are so fucking good. I think I've chatted about the ones I've seen. Like, I watched Pink Floyd's The Wall. That's a movie. That shit was 95 minutes. I started watching that, and I was like an hour in, and I was like, how short is this film? And I look at it, and it's like it's an hour and a half. I'm like, this isn't a short film. This is an actual feature-length project. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. Beyonce's Lemonade, directed by Khalil Joseph. He also did Kendrick's Mad City, that short film. Really, I love his visual style. He had a film premiering at the New York Film Festival that I really wanted to see, but that ended up being the night of Marty Supreme. I watched this week. We'll stay on track with what I watched this week. I watched Tropico, which is this Lana Del Rey. It's not a traditional visual album because it's not like the full Born to Die album. It's 27 minutes and it's one continuous story, but it's broken up into 3 chapters. The 3 songs are Body Electric, Gods and Monsters, and Bel Air. So each section is like you hear the song and then it's like 5 minutes of like a narrative, right? So it's like this very interesting like hybrid like visual song short film thing. But really good, really good. I mean, I have Lana Del Rey bias. I'll always admit that. I love her. She's quite possibly one of my favorite artists out there. I think her discography is fucking unmatched. And I love her music. And I didn't know that short film existed until I was just randomly scrolling through like some short film list on Letterboxd, and I saw it, and I saw the poster, and I was like, "Is that fucking Lana Del Rey?" And I clicked into it. I was like, "Oh my god, I'm watching this today." Um, Predator Badlands. Did you watch Predator Badlands? No, right?
No, unfortunately not.
All right, so should I just wait to talk about it like next week with everyone, or it's not really?
I don't know if I'll be seeing it, to be honest. It's like
Yeah,
one of those things that, like, if I wasn't going to see opening week for the pod, like, it's just not in
yeah.
my
Then it's
wheelhouse.
a
So I think it's
wait.
probably just you on this one.
All right, I'll let me talk Predator Badlands for like 5 minutes. It'll be quick.
Yeah,
It's not like
you don't
this
have
isn't
to
like a.
rush if you don't want.
It's I mean, no discredit to this film. This just isn't a movie that like it's a Predator movie. You know, you're going in, you're expecting action. It's fun. There's nothing really I want to spoil in this movie, and I know I got that reputation of accidentally spoiling shit, but I'll try not to. Um, but yeah, I'll start with Predator Badlands, and then we'll move into maybe Die My Love and then Frankenstein. I feel like Frankenstein might be the one we talk about a little bit more, but you tell me if I'm wrong. But Predator Badlands takes place well into the future, or I actually don't know how far into the future of the Predator world this takes place in. But it's one of those like Predator movies where you don't need to have seen the other Predator movies. Like you're totally fine. Cast out from his clan, a young predator finds an unlikely ally in a damaged android and embarks on a treacherous journey in search of the ultimate adversary. So, movie opens pretty straightforward. Just so I could set the scene. Movie opens. This predator is considered the weakest in his clan. His dad sends his brother to kill him because you can't. We don't condone weakness. But when I was watching this movie, and this is so stupid, I was like, if you kill the weakest in the clan, then someone else is going to become the weakest in the clan. Like, do you just kill him too? Like, do you just keep killing the weakest in the clan? Like, when do you cut that off? But that's the stupid shit that I'm thinking about when I watch this movie. So to be like an official member of the clan, you have to go to a planet, pick a creature, kill that creature, and bring the creature's head back to the clan. That the dad wasn't even giving this predator the opportunity to do that. He just wanted to kill the son. He's like, fuck it, the son's weak as shit. His brother doesn't go through with it, doesn't kill him, ends up fighting off his dad, saving his brother. Dad kills brother. Whoa, shit, crazy. It got crazy the first couple of minutes. Now, this is where the movie like really starts. The predator is on this planet called the Death Planet, and he's got to find this creature called the Calisk, kill it, and bring it home to his dad to prove his honor and strength. So, like the synopsis says, he finds this android, Thea, played by Elle Fanning. And then that's the movie. The movie is a like friendship, action, adventure. It's fun. It's enjoyable. I liked it a lot more on second watch. I still think it is a little bland, and I don't mean that disrespectfully. When I say bland, I'm more talking about just like the narrative. Like it really is the most like basic, by the books, friendship, adventure, action movie ever. It is a ton of fun. The set pieces are so much fun. The creature designs are so much fun. It's one of those movies where I do not in the slightest doubt Dan Trachtenberg's love for this franchise. Like, I think it's so clear that he loves this Predator franchise. He, regardless of whether I like or dislike Prey, I'm more neutral on that movie, actually. Regardless of whether I like or dislike Predator Badlands, also more neutral on this movie. I'm never questioning whether Dan Trachtenberg loves this franchise. I never once feel while I'm watching Predator Badlands that we are phoning it in for a paycheck, or we are just making slop the way like the MCU is making slop right now. It's like one of those experiences where his love is so palpable that it actually like it gives me a little bit of cushion when I'm watching this movie, because it's like, yeah, maybe I'm not loving the story. Maybe it's not really doing anything to truly move me, but I can tell that Dan Trachtenberg loves this movie and the story and these characters. And that it just puts a smile on my face. I love seeing, filmmakers just doing what they love and like really putting their all into it. The movie is as beautiful as the trailers promised. Like the trailer really sold me for this movie, because I was like, wow, this looks gorgeous. It looks massive in sets. It looks massive in scale. The creatures look awesome. And all of that is in the movie and then some. Like it really is just a beautiful movie to look at. There was never a point in this movie where I was like, damn, this looks bad. this looks sloppy. This looks like poor visuals, poor CGI. I was always just in awe. I was like, this truly looks beautiful. It is such like this is one of those examples, and I'll pull an example from this year to compare it to. And I love Greta Lee, but Greta Lee and Tron Ares phoned it in. Could not have phoned in that performance more. One of the worst performances of the year. And I love Greta Lee. I'm sorry, Greta, if you're listening to this, I love you. You were so fucking bad in Tron Ares. Going into Predator Badlands, I was nervous about Elle Fanning. I was like, this is an interesting movie for her to take, especially this year when she has like sentimental value coming out. It's like these are real polar opposites. Last year she was in a complete unknown. Like she's really trying to stick to like non-franchise slop. So I was like, okay, I could expect, Elle Fanning to phone it in for a paycheck. I actually ended up really liking her. Not really liking her, but I actually ended up like really enjoying her. Like she plays two characters. She plays Thea, which is the like android that you see on the poster, the one with like half a body. And then she plays Thea's like sister. They're not really sisters. Like they're just the same exact android. But her name is Tessa, and she's the mean one. She's the villain. Thea has like at least a little bit of sensitivity to her, a little bit of emotion to her. Tessa, bitch. She's mean. I was very scared of her. But didn't phone it in. Plays these two roles really well. I don't know if I'm 100% sold on the relationship between Elle Fanning's character and Deck, the Predator. And when I say relationship, I mean friendship. There's nothing like romantic between the two, but I don't know if I was sold entirely on their friendship. There's a very small moment towards the end, and I'm not going to spoil anything, but there's a very small moment towards the end where Thea and Deck, the Predator, are standing face to face, and it's after they had separated for like 15 minutes of the movie. So it was like there is like a little bit of a reunion, and both times I saw this movie, I was like, I wish that part hit more. I wish like their coming back together hit me more, but the movie didn't build up their friendship enough for me to like truly care whether they're together or apart or claned up or whatever you want to call it. Still like them, still really love them. I love this Predator. I think this Predator, for context, I've seen Predator, the second Predator, Alien versus Predator, and Prey. So this was my fifth Predator movie. This one, Deck, he might be my favorite of all of them. I love his story. I love his narrative. It's a little basic, like I said. It's not the craziest thing. Like he's fighting for his honor on this planet that is trying to kill him. So it's nothing crazy. But I think that there's like a little bit of sensitivity to this Predator, especially as the movie goes along. He kind of like grows in maturity, gives him like some like human characteristics of like acceptance and strength and weakness. And I think he's a really good Predator to play like alongside Elle Fanning's very like quirky, sympathetic android. So in that sense, I really like their dynamic because I think they just worked off each other well. And I also just think Elle Fanning's a really great actress who thankfully did not phone this performance in. But yeah, that's kind of the movie. There are sweet moments. There are funny moments. There are action-packed moments. This movie never really like lets up. Like literally the second like this Predator falls onto this death planet, like he's immediately trying to be killed. Like it really just like it never slows down. It never lets up. Once he gets to the planet, it's like it's go, go, go. And I like that because the movie's only like an hour and 45 minutes. So it's just a constant like go, go, go. And I really like that. It's a very adrenaline like fueled movie. Like I said, it's not doing anything to move me, and I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just like it's probably like, it's a good action movie. It's a good dad action movie. I could see myself rewatching it down the line, but it's never gonna like move the needle entirely for me. I mean, obviously, if you're listening to this and you think differently, drop a comment. I'd love to know. I know I'm talking like so positive about this movie right now, but It's still a 3-star film for me. I know, which right now looking like that's considered like the minority. A lot of my mutuals on Letterboxd are around like 3.5, 4. I'm even looking at a 4.5 right here. But yeah, good movie. I was very surprised just because I don't love the Predator franchise, as much as like maybe the next person. Like none of these movies have ever truly moved me. Prey, yeah, Prey on TikTok. When I was starting my TikTok, Prey was like one of the first like releases that I like talked about, and that was like the first bit of controversy I got into because people were like, "Fuck this guy! How do you not love Prey?" And I was like, "What are we talking about? This is a Prey movie. Why am I getting yelled at for Prey?" But yeah, that's it. That's where I'll wrap up Predator Badlands.
Is it like nonstop? So I've seen reviews. People say it's like hour 40, like nonstop action. Is that
yeah, it's like go, go, go. Like opening scene is like this guy's brother trying to kill him, and then once that finishes, he moves straight into this death planet, and like literally the second he crash lands on this death planet, he's being attacked. And then that never lets up. Like he lands on the death planet, he's attacked by this like tree monster. Once he defeats the tree monster, he like walks into a field and is immediately attacked by a dragon, or I don't even know what that creature was. It looked like a dragon. And then like once he defeats the dragon with the help of Elle Fanning, because that's where they meet, he moves into like this other field with like these like massive like rhino type it really is nonstop. It really is nonstop. Just go, go, go. And the movie's not that long. Like I said, it's probably like an hour and 40 minutes without credits. So thankfully it just never slows down. But that's Predator Badlands. Yeah, that's it. I was trying to think if there's anything more I should say about it, but
the general population seems to be loving it because I don't know.
Seems to be really, dude. I even texted you guys before I saw it for a second time because after my first watch, I'm not gonna lie, I really wasn't on board after my first watch. I was like, I really like this is a little too basic, a little too bland for me. And I texted you guys, and this was when everyone was starting to like lock in like their 4-star reviews, and I was texting you guys, and I was like, I must be missing something. Like I must be out of my mind. Like I did not expect such a positive reaction. Then I saw it for a second time, and like I'm still not as high as a lot of our mutuals. But like the second time I saw it, I was like, you know what? I could understand it. I saw it in IMAX now. I could absolutely understand it. Nothing, 5 milligrams can't like solve. But
yeah, because when I went to the theater, I was going to do a double feature of Die My Love and Predator Badlands. And when I was in line, there was like a ton of people in line, like, I don't know, mid-30s age that were like all super fired up to see the new Predator.
Yeah.
I saw Die My Love, and there was like a 5-minute gap between when that would end and the other one would start. And I was like, after Die My Love, which we'll talk about, that movie's like a lot. And I was like, I'm not ready to like jump back in, especially when all the reviews are like it's action nonstop. I'm like, I don't think I'm ready for like that right now.
I need to sit with Die My Love for a little bit.
There's like obviously Letterboxd, IMDb, Rotten Tomatoes, but I feel like the harshest ratings I ever see for movies is on like Google reviews. Like if you ever Google a movie, I feel like every movie on Google reviews is just like the worst ratings ever. But for Predator Badlands, it's like very highly rated. But I feel like no matter what movie it is, Google reviews has like so many 0 stars. Like I don't know who uses that. I think it's more just the general public maybe. But
yeah,
again, Predator Badlands seems to be a populist movie, so that's good.
To my absolute surprise, but no, good movie. I mean, I know you as like not really the biggest action guy. I would predict that you'd probably be around like where I am, maybe a little lower, but definitely like a better experience than I had expected. I definitely. I don't know why I keep comparing it back to Tron Ares, but like that's the first movie that comes to mind, especially after watching Tron Ares. I'm like, damn, like I really hope that doesn't happen to Predator, like because that was really bad. But let's move into Die My Love. The latest from Lynn Ramsey. Most of you probably know her from the Joaquin Phoenix starring You Were Never Really Here, or We Need to Talk About Kevin. Also, I watched one of her short films, Swimmer, prior to watching Die My Love. One of the best, and again, I haven't seen a lot of short films. Of the ones I've seen, Swimmer would be like top 3. This thing was absolutely sublime. To the point where like I almost stopped eating my lunch because I was just so locked into this fucking short film. So if you haven't seen Swimmer, I highly recommend. But Die My Love, starring Jennifer Lawrence and Robert Pattinson, Grace, a writer and young mother, is slowly slipping into madness, locked away in an old house in Montana. Her increasingly agitated and erratic behavior leaves her companion, Jackson, worried and helpless. You haven't logged it yet, so I'm curious to hear your thoughts. So we will obviously start with you, Tyler.
Yeah, so Lynn Ramsey does not make populist films. She is a director who is very acclaimed and very talented that the general public seems to hate. We saw the cinema score. This was a D plus.
D plus is crazy, dude.
Yeah, people walked out of my screening. People walked out of plenty of screenings. It's not unique to my experience. So this is a movie that is a lot. Like I was just talking about Predator Badlands, but I think it's really effective in what it sets out to accomplish. I think it's very expertly made, and I think this is overall a very strong movie that like I really liked. I wouldn't say I loved just because it's like such a hard movie to sit through, but I think it is so effective in what it tries to do. Like this isn't supposed to be a movie you go to and it's easy to watch. It's not supposed to be one you're going to go to and really enjoy any of the experience. It's all about Jennifer Lawrence's character, Grace, who is going through, this postpartum depression after having their baby with Robert Pattinson, who's her husband in this, Jackson. And you have this woman who they're from New York City. She had a city life. She was a wild woman, loved to just chase the thrills of life and live life to the fullest, who's now being domesticated in this rundown little cottage in Montana, completely removed from the city, completely different from the life that she had. She's getting domesticated by her husband, who kind of bought the house on somewhat of a whim. It's I believe his uncle is who it was, who ended up taking his own life. So one of those things where it's like, oh, got a great deal on this. We could build this house into our own. And it just never really gets to that point because of just how much chaos happens with the baby and with Jennifer Lawrence's, Grace's slow descent into, depression and manic states, and Jackson, who's played by Robert Pattinson, his inability to really be an effective husband, an effective partner, someone who's there for his wife, never really hearing her. And that's kind of the theme of a lot of the people that pretty much everyone that Grace interacts with is no one really hears her for what she's saying. They all want to provide solutions. They don't want to actually hear and understand the problem. You hear moments where she's like, I just can't get into routine. And people are like, oh, have you tried like yoga in the mornings, which is like for 99.9% of like new mothers, it's just like the most insane recommendation to make, to be like, oh, I'm like stressed out about being a new mother for the first time. I have this newborn at home. They're like, oh, try doing like yoga in the morning every day or going on like long walks. It's like, what are you talking about when your husband is just a degenerate? I knew he was going to be a degenerate the second, about 20 minutes in. He's watching, I clocked this, an Air Force versus Montana college basketball game, which is two programs where there's absolutely nothing. So the fact that he's like locked into that when his whole family is like in the living room having serious conversations, he's watching the most like meaningless, it's like two unranked ATP tennis players facing off in a challenger. Like, it's like, bro, if you're locked into that and won't even pay attention to your family, like when will you pay attention to your family? But no, it's like, we'll wait till spoiler to talk about some of the stuff. There's a lot of fascinating interpretations you could go to with this movie, but the one thing that is for sure through and through is that I think Jennifer Lawrence is phenomenal in this movie. I think she is so impressive in this movie. Robert Pattinson isn't bad. I just don't think his character was written in a way to where it really showcases anyone's acting abilities to the greatest. He's kind of just there, and that sounds like disrespectful, but I mean, Robert Pattinson's great. I just don't think this is a vessel for the husband in the movie. As I was saying, this is really supposed to show how he's kind of a loser. He's really absent either physically or mentally and emotionally. This is really a Jennifer Lawrence movie. But yeah, I just think it really tackles obviously something I have no familiarity with personally, or nor will I ever, because postpartum depression is just not something that you or I will ever be able to experience. But I know we have like a lot of young men that listen to this podcast. So I'd say like postpartum depression is something that is so common. I know someone in my life who dealt with it really heavily. I'm not going to get into their story because that's their story to tell, not mine. But it's something that postpartum depression along with miscarriages are two things that are so like taboo that like no one talks about, that are like so common that you don't really realize until you kind of get in the quote unquote real world. So when I don't know, just all the young men listen to are two things that so many women experience, and that is arguably the most painful thing a woman can experience, either not being able to have a baby due to a miscarriage or having one and going through postpartum depression and how it just completely envelops your mind and seems like it's inescapable. So something that if you watch this and you kind of don't relate to it, it's something that you got to try as men to be more empathetic to, because it is something that is like almost seen as like shameful in society. Like you don't want to talk about having a miscarriage. You don't want to talk about being depressed after having a baby. You're supposed to be happy and full of life and having so much fun and everything should be perfect. But so many people struggle with it. Barely anyone talks about it because it is something that just society looks down on. And, you know, the men in society are supposed to be like, oh, why are you sad? You just had a baby. You should be happy. So definitely something that if you watch this movie and you're kind of getting taken aback by it and you're really struggling to understand Grace's character, it's something that you got to kind of work to understand in this world a little more, because it is something that is so common. And I think this movie just shows the descent into how, I mean, it's not even just the postpartum depression, but depression in general can just start as this nugget that can just spread like a wildfire. You know, there's some things about the movie that on first watch, you know, if I rewatch it, this is a challenging movie that I don't think I'd really want to rewatch. But there's things that I don't know fully worked for me. Like this movie's kind of told non-linearly. There's a lot of flashbacks in terms of how their relationship progresses. And that there, I don't know if it fully worked for me. I think the third act, when it kind of goes back to their wedding, some of it just didn't really fully connect for me. And then when we get to spoilers, we'll talk about a lot of stuff that, you know, there's a lot of interpretation of this movie that various things that happen throughout. It's like, is that real? Is that in her mind? And that can be a little tricky to dissect. But overall, I, again, enjoyed my experience with this. Isn't the right term. I think it was incredibly effective. And I think my ultimate landing is going to be like a 3.5 on this one. You know, I think this is a movie that I can totally see why general audiences are not gravitating towards. But Jennifer Lawrence is such a force in this movie. You know, you have Lakeith Stanfield and Robert Pattinson, who again are both great actors and do what they need to in a great way in this movie, but don't really have much to do. Same as Sissy Spacek, who's always phenomenal. But again, this is really a Jennifer Lawrence vessel through and through. And I think the way Lynn Ramsey shoots this with the 4:3 aspect ratio is so claustrophobic that just never really lets you go. Like I said, there's only 3 people in my theater, and I got not like like most standard theaters, you know, you have like the little front section with like 3 rows, and then you have like the aisle where people walk through. Then you have the back section with like 40 rows, right where I was in the first row of the back section. So I was like very close. I was right up in the face of this movie, locked in, and it is just a suffocating experience. The sound design is impeccable in a horrible way, as in, like this movie is grating to listen to. But again, so much of this movie is challenging but effective. But yeah, just the general sound design of this movie is so filled with dread and paranoia. Remind me a lot of like the Zone of Interest sound design that just really in the background, even when things seem on the surface okay visually, always in the background there's just sound design going on that is making you anxious and paranoid and scared. But then also there's so many like jump scares in this movie, just from either something violent happening on screen or just like the sound design just clashing in a major way. So I think the theater experience really adds to that as well. But yeah, I think 3.5 for me, I think is a really effective movie. I think it's very well done. I think Lynn Ramsey is a master of her craft for the only 2 movies I've seen from her. And I love that she still at this point in her career, she's had a long career, but not very productive career in the sense that like she doesn't crank out movies super frequently. But I love that she's never really catered to the populist filmmaking. She's never really been interested or caring about people universally loving her movies. And when you make a movie that has Jennifer Lawrence or Robert Pattinson as the leads, it'd be so easy to just say, I got these 2 leads in a movie of mine. We could just make a cakewalk movie and this is going to print money and people are going to love it. But she went a route where she decided, you know, I'm going to make something that's true to myself, true to my experiences. It's an adaptation of a book, which is worth mentioning, from 2016, I believe, but it's not a very faithful adaptation. It's more just kind of like generally inspired by it, but it is titled Die My Love. So this is an adaptation. But yeah, I'll kind of end my non-spoiler talk there. I like this movie. I had a good time with it in the sense that I really was impressed by everything that happens in it. And Jennifer Lawrence just, again, continues to prove every time she puts herself on the screen that she just is one of the greats of her generation. Maybe, you know, up there with the greatest of the greats of her generation. She's been so diverse in terms of the roles she can take, especially with No Hard Feelings. And then you think like Hunger Games. We also think all the movies that get her Oscars, like Silver Linings Playbook, and like this movie, will it get nominated? Will it not? Probably not. Who knows? But I mean, this is like a movie that if it got nominated for performance, I certainly wouldn't bat an eye at it. I'd be like, yep, totally makes sense that she's one of the 5 best actress performances of this year. So very impressed by her in this movie. But yeah, I'll end it there.
Yeah, I'm almost surprised when I like look at, you know, these like odds makers or Gold Derby or Kalshi or whatever, and she's not predicted as being like one of the five. I mean, obviously it's such a fucking strong year of women leads with, Begonia and Sentimental Value and Hamnet. But my first thought after watching Die My Love was like, wow, like Jennifer Lawrence is like stunned. Like how is she not in the conversation? Like how is she not, like, I know, like it seems like a lot of the conversation is geared towards Jessie Buckley right now in Hamnet, and I haven't seen Hamnet, so obviously I'm in no way putting down the movie or that performance. But I would love to start seeing these conversations expand to Jennifer Lawrence and getting her like into that category of five, because she really is she is the movie. She is, you're following her in the movie. When she's happy, you're happy. When she's frustrated, you're frustrated. You are feeling every single emotion that she is feeling, and she conveys that very emotion just so unbelievably well. When you said that this movie is effective, that stuck with me, because that's exactly how I feel about this movie. It's not a movie I am necessarily high on in terms of my rating. I think I gave it a 3 stars, but it is an effective movie in the same way that If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You is effective, where these are movies that are intended to frustrate you. They are movies that are intended to put you in the shoes of their lead actor, and you are supposed to feel what they're feeling. And these characters are feeling frustration. These characters are feeling depression. These characters are feeling, nauseous. They're going through life, or they're going through this very particular time period in their life. And it is just absolute chaos. And this movie does such a good job at making you feel what Jennifer Lawrence is feeling. And I don't love that. I do not love watching a movie. And I say this in like a weird complimentary way, because like I said, this movie did its job. This movie had me feeling what it wanted me to feel. And I was frustrated as fuck. That dog, I almost stood up and applauded when she popped that dog in the face. I was getting so fucking frustrated when that dog would not shut up for about 10 minutes straight. Okay. I was so frustrated. And then you add in like, beyond postpartum depression, you add in, like a degenerate husband. You add in this side plot with Lakeith Stanfield that's like kind of like her little escape, and you're feeling everything. And it is just such an effective movie in conveying emotion and getting you to react to what is happening to this character of Grace. And this is where like I know you're like so anti like not rating a movie on Letterboxd, but it's like this is probably the perfect movie for me not to rate, because like how do I rate this? Like this movie's effective, this movie did its job. I did not like that. I did not like the way it was effective, and I did not like the way it made me feel. But beyond that, I definitely think it's a very interesting movie. Like you said, it's just not at all a populist film. It is so, credits started rolling at this premiere and people were like hesitant to clap. Like you could tell that the people that were watching this movie at the premiere, like this is not for them. Like this is not a movie that like general audiences are gonna, and you could see that already with that D+ cinema score, which is just absolutely ridiculous. Even though I'm not too high on this film, D+ is, come on, this movie has enough absolute brilliance, absolutely incredible shot selections, absolutely incredible acting performances to warrant something much higher than a D+. My biggest problem with I have 2 big problems with this movie. One of them is spoilery, so we'll save that for when I'm done yapping right now. But my biggest problem is just how repetitive a film like this feels. And I'm gonna tread with caution, because I don't want to potentially sound like disrespectful, but every passing scene, I just kept thinking to myself, okay, how is Grace going to crash out now? Like, what is going to happen to make her crash out? How is she going to crash out? And after like 4 or 5 scenes, I was kind of like, okay, we're getting repetitive. We're kind of like rehashing and recycling the same scene, the same type of shock, the same type of frustration. That's why when this movie moves into the wedding, and then when Grace is in the psychiatric center, that's where I was like, okay, now we're moving into a different direction. Now we're we're taking that first hour. We've established this character. We've established what she's going through. We have shown you what she's going through in several bits across the first hour. Now let's move into something new. Let's move into a wedding. Let's move into a psychiatric center. Let's move into, that final third act and that final 20 minutes. So for much of this film, I was like, okay, we're kind of recycling a little bit. We're moving a little too familiar from scene to scene, which not necessarily a bad thing. Like I said, each of these scenes is very effective in their own right. It's absolutely crazy watching Jennifer Lawrence fucking barrel through a glass door. Like that shit absolutely floored me. I was like, holy shit. Even I'm so surprised at how physical this performance is. And obviously she's done physical before with the Hunger Games and even something like A Mother. Like she's done that like horror, experimental, physical as well. But like the whole like bathroom scene, man, when she's just scratching at the wall, fucking tearing off like shelves. I was like, this is like, she's not even saying anything. She's just grunting and attacking a bathroom, and I'm floored. So very physical, and it was very interesting watching Jennifer Lawrence kind of like push herself from scene to scene, doing like these various like crazy things that Lynn Ramsey was asking of her. But again, it did for me get a little bit repetitive, kind of just like, I'm going to keep saying just like recycled shock. It was just like recycled frustration, I think is better. Recycled frustration, recycled oh shit moments back to back until we kind of move into that third act of the movie, which I really, really liked. But yeah, I mean, it seems like we're kind of pretty even in like our initial spoiler free review. Like I said, I like this movie. I don't want to say I had a good experience. I had an interesting experience. I had an effective experience. Absolutely. Like I was definitely like taken aback by some things I was watching, some things I was seeing. I think it's also very cool that it's like a lot of it's open to interpretation. Like the whole like, Keith Stanfield side plot. It's like very interesting. I talked to like two different people at the premiere after party, and they both had a different interpretation as to whether or not Lakeith Stanfield's character was even real or not. So very, very, very fascinating movie to discuss. Whether or not I absolutely loved it or not, and I was more mixed. But certainly a fascinating movie to watch. And Lynn Ramsey just gave me such an awesome bear hug, and then I love that woman. But that's pretty much my spoiler-free review. Can get into spoilers a little bit. So, like you said, this woman is taken out of her comfort, kind of on a hash. Wow. Jesus Christ. I just wanted to pull up the plot on Google, and I'm now looking at the Google ratings. Have you seen the Google ratings for this movie?
Probably terrible. Google ratings are harsh,
Holy
man. That's
shit, dude. It's more than 50% are 1 stars.
Yeah. Yep.
That's
Google
insane.
reviews is the real final boss. That's where you gotta struggle.
Now I'm just curious to read some of these 1-star reviews. If only I could give this 0 stars. In fact, I'd probably like to give a -4 stars for this boring, pretentious, self-indulgent, irresponsible misinterpretation of postpartum experience. Holy shit. People do not fuck with this movie. I'm convinced this movie didn't have a plot, just 2 hours of confusion. All right, I'm not reading this. It's going to piss me off. But yeah, they're a young couple that moved from New York City to
Montana.
I was about to say Minnesota. I had Minnesota stuck in my head. Montana, and they have a baby. Like we've been saying, Robert Pattinson is kind of playing like this very degenerate husband who kind of is just like, I mean, I don't want to say forcefully, but it seems like it was on his own accord, moves Grace into this house, has a baby, keeps, Grace at home, raising the baby. She's going through postpartum depression while he is out. I actually don't know what his job was. Construction.
I don't either, but
I was not.
I know it's something that seems like blue collar. And she made a comment about like, I'm always gone working, and then she said something like 3 days a week. So I don't know if it's like he works on some construction field, but he's like works like 3 days a week or something, and has a truck and always kind of wears like a cap and like workman's gear. So I'm guessing something just rural Montana, working maybe on a farm or something like that. But
yeah, very, very unclear. But I'm not going to go like plot point for plot
no.
point, but we'll kind of like just talk like the big moments. Can we quickly jump ahead to my other biggest problem of the movie?
Go for it.
It takes place, I want to say like early third act. Like it's when she's released from the psychiatric center. Okay. This is why I'm surprised this movie is getting like such high praise, because I think it makes a very interesting decision in the messaging that it wants to convey to its audience members.
I think I know where you're going with this, but I'm curious to see what you're going to say.
Yeah, the whole movie, you are watching Grace suffer from postpartum depression, struggling at home, struggling to keep her house clean, struggling to raise a baby, struggling to keep track of a dog that she eventually fucking kills, which is awesome. But the whole movie is that it's showing you the effects of postpartum depression and that effect on a woman and that effect that it has on a home and a family. She goes to the psychiatric center, which is obviously implied that then Jackson, Robert Pattinson's character, will come in, take care of the baby, take care of the house. I'm very interested at the decision this movie made in saying when the mother is handling all of these things, life is a mess. The house is chaos. But when she's gone and the father takes over, the house is redone. The house is meticulous. The baby is proper. I thought that was a very interesting decision to make that basically says like, and maybe I'm completely misinterpreting this, but like the movie's decision to basically say the woman couldn't handle it, but the man can. I found that really interesting. Mm-hmm. And I was a little taken, like I haven't stopped thinking about that. Cause like, I'm very, and listen, I'm not the right person to talk about this film. Obviously, like, you know, postpartum depression, not something I've suffered through. I don't know anyone that's suffered through it, but like that very decision, even like in the moments, like the second she walks in the house and Jackson's like, oh, I redid it a little bit. You know, I cleaned it up a little bit. I was thinking to myself, I was like, that's a really interesting direction to take this film. Basically saying like, hey, mom failed, dad succeeded. Mm-hmm. Like, am I losing my mind?
No, I think it's a very, very accurate and strong point. I think some of it to me boils down to how you interpret this movie, and I felt the exact same thing as you. So I'm not saying I'm like countering your point. I'm just kind of saying, thinking about the movie more. I think there's a lot that happens in this movie that you can wonder if it really happened or if it was a figment of her imagination. And I think the house can kind of be a representation of her mind a bit. Okay. So I think part of it is her, like, I think a way you can interpret this, I'm not saying I'm fully there, but I'm saying like reading into this, maybe you could see it this way, is that when she was home, the house was not actually that chaotic, nor when she came back was it as pristine and remodeled as it was. It's more like her mind being like, her mind feeding into herself of the mental health she's having, being like, oh wow, everything is better without me. Like I'm a terrible mother. I should remove myself from the equation. When in reality, when she was home and the house was in chaos, maybe it wasn't actually that chaotic and gross. Yeah. When she left and came back, maybe it was, because it looked like pristine, remodeled, like perfect. When the whole movie is showed Robert Pattinson.
It was repainted at the end of the movie. It was a blue house.
Right. And like we saw all movie long that like Robert Pattinson's character is like a loser. Like he's like works 3 days a week. Sounds like pretty lazy, just drinks beer all day, looks at his telescope, cheats on his wife. So like the idea that she goes away to a psych ward and like all of a sudden he like snaps into becoming like productive and perfect. Like I think there's a way you can interpret that as this is all just her playing tricks on herself, thinking like, wow, they really don't need me to fuel into that depressive mental health, like, you know, take your own life. Like I don't need to be here type thing. They clearly got a handle without me. So I think that's one way you could look at it. I think really a lot of this movie, you can come down to what is real and what's just a figment of her imagination. I think Lakeith Stanfield, I agree with one of the interpretations you talk about that. I think he was very much real. I think very much like lived in the neighborhood. Everything that happened between
relationship
them
was not real.
Right. Everything that happened between them wasn't. It was her kind of looking at an escape of someone who, because he lived in a nice house, he was well put together, looked on from the outside looking in, he has a wife and kid that seemed more cohesive than herself and her husband. So I think she just always looked to that as this perfect kind of vision of what she wants, but is not getting from her husband. So I don't think like obviously the relationship was real. I think that was like one of the more clear things they tried to paint in terms of the relationship not being real. But I think there's some more questionable things that like I think there's like I was reading some interpretations of, was the baby ever even born, or did she have a miscarriage? And this is all both parents coping with it. Like I read like someone saying that, him getting her the dog was like a way to like kind of try and replace the baby when she's still trying to deal with it. And he tried to just give her something else to take care of, which kind of led to why she was so abrasive towards it and aggressive. And there's moments with, I think with how much this movie is going into like her psyche and mental health, it blurs the lines of like, well, is everything just fake, or is it just her amplifying reality when stuff's happening, but she's just making it worse? Like when she's out looking at the telescope with him, she's like, oh, the baby's like crying and screaming. I can hear him. But like, he's like, the baby's not even crying. So it's like, is that baby not even real? And she's mentally thinking like going crazy, or is it just like that the baby is real, but she's thinking something's happening that's not. And then there's some things with like the cake at the end and like these welcome parties. And again, the movie kind of jumps around timeline wise. So there's like ways to think about, and also a lot of people noted that her like weight in terms of like her pregnancy fluctuates a lot during the movie in a way that makes it really hard to like track like where you're at. So it's like, I don't think I'm fully there yet, but there's ways that people have interpreted this, that she just had a miscarriage and the baby never even existed. Because also there's like
that one never crossed my mind.
Yeah, there's also a joke at like the pool party when she's like pregnant, and then someone makes a comment like, "Oh, pregnant again?" And she's like, "Yeah, I loved it so much the first time," or whatever, like doing it again or something like that. And it's like, there's ways to say like, "Oh, maybe like they failed the first time, and now she's trying to have a kid the second time because it didn't work out the first time." So there's a lot of interesting things with this movie because it is so in its own head in terms of trying to present this heightened reality of what's going on in her mind, of a mind that is not mentally healthy, that really can leave so much interpretation. But Robert Pattinson's character is just never really hears her throughout the whole movie. She kind of mentions the whole first 20 minutes. She's like, we should get a cat. And he shows up with a dog, and it's the most justified dog killing, I think, in cinematic history.
Dude, ever.
It was 20 minutes straight of that barking, that yapping dog. That was the worst. Yeah,
that was tweaking, bro. It was like, you haven't seen If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You, right?
No, I need to though.
Dude, same thing. I mean, it's not a spoiler. There's just like a 10-minute period in this movie where there's a baby nonstop crying, and it's not like faint in the background. It's like the camera's on this baby's face for 10 straight minutes, and I was like, this is throw it out. Like, this is crazy. Like, it's unbelievable.
The dog was just so annoying. I think it's just, again, just furthers the point of like Robert Pattinson wants a nuclear family, but doesn't want to put in the work for it. That's why he bought a house in Montana. He wants to farm life. He wants to.
So do you okay? That scene where he's on the phone with Grace and he's at the diner, and then it cuts to him sleeping with the waitress. Did that happen, or is that also something like I think you're bringing up a lot of good points, because now I'm questioning every scene in this movie, like whether or not it actually happened or whether it was just something that's a part of like her imagination. More than likely he cheated, I think, absolutely. But now I'm starting to question like because like I think you do bring up a really good point about like my initial issue with like why the house was like spick and span when he took over, and now I'm starting to question every decision made in this movie, like what was real and what wasn't real.
No, I agree, and it makes it so you can think whatever. But to me, I do think the cheating was real. I think the whole like condom in the car, like he's like, oh, that box is from forever ago, and then like later she sees it again, it's like a different box or whatever. So it's like clearly this guy is just like abandoning his family physically, mentally, and emotionally. But no, but again, you can interpret it also as well of just her projecting her worst fears in her mind. But the reason I more so think it is true that he did cheat is just because you never really see her crash out because of the cheating. She more was just like, of course, like, you're such a loser. Like, you don't care about me. So there was never like a scene where she like exploded about like, you're cheating on me. Like, it was more like she saw the condoms and she was like, she almost like knew before even seeing that. She's like, I already figured this. So that's why I kind of figured this. Yeah, exactly. So he's just drinking all the time, cheating on her, not really helping out at home, bringing home a dog. And he just wants that perfect nuclear family. He wants a domesticated wife. He wants a dog on a farm with horses and like has his idyllic life, but he doesn't want to put in the work for it.
Just look at the stars.
Yeah, and his family life is like a lot of interesting elements in this movie too, with his mother who's going through her own psychosis after the loss of her husband, with just sleepwalking and being completely paranoid, and how her mental health is struggling. And I think like Nick Nolte's character, who ends up dying in the movie, obviously is like the way I kind of interpreted his character is just like a elephant in the room type thing. Cause there's moments where like they would be at family get-togethers where clearly this dude is just like not okay, trying to put on his shoes, like clearly like manic. And Jennifer Lawrence, like the only one who like really cared or like tried to help or like look at him. So I feel like he was just like an embodiment of just like, this shit is burning down right now, and there's a massive problem in front of us, and like no one in the world seems to be thinking that there's an issue here. And it just kind of adds to her own mental manic state of her being like, why is no one else caring that this man is like throwing glass around and like sitting here alone, just struggling to get by? And it's like she's the only one looking to help. So it's just like everyone in this movie just wants to take all these problems and pawn them off and just say like, oh, to start doing yoga or just whatever nonsense it is. And this movie's also funny too. Like Jennifer Lawrence, her like one line.
I was going to ask you about that.
So funny.
I
thought it was funny.
I didn't laugh. I'm not gonna lie.
Really?
But my theater was just laughing in like certain moments. And
I thought it was funny with like the gas station. And
I think like the best example is when she goes to her mother-in-law's house at night and they're like chatting, and Jennifer Lawrence is like, he shot himself in the ass, and like my theater was like rolling. Yeah, and I was like, yeah, it was just like one of those moments where it's like, this movie is really heavy. It's dealing with like suicide and postpartum, and now we're like kind of like laughing at the bit about this guy killing himself by shooting himself in the ass. Like I just thought it was like a very like out of place joke. But even beyond that, like I just wasn't like finding like a lot of it all that funny. Like this movie got more of like a reaction out of me. Like when it cut, dude. When this movie cuts to her smacking her face into the mirror,
jump scare, dude,
I jumped. Like I elevated my ass out of the seat. I was like, this is fucking.
It's so loud too. So yeah.
So I had the premiere of this movie was in a Dolby screening room. I was overwhelmed with the amount of noise that I was taking in. It was a lot. But it was a very cool experience because like. On the certain, like you watch like a trailer for like a movie like this, and you're like, oh, this is not going to be like a crazy auditory experience. Like it's not going to heighten your senses with the ears. And then you watch it, and it's just like everything is so loud. Like when she crashes through the glass door, it's so loud.
That one got me bad too.
Yeah, that one was nuts. Like the dog was so loud. When she smacks her face into the mirror, it's so loud. It really was just like such a sensitive experience. And when I say sensitive, I don't mean like emotional. I literally mean like sensory experience.
But no, I did think it was funny. I thought the conversation at the gas station made me laugh just because I was like, yeah, like some people, like it's just, she's so fed up and is not in the mood to talk to this gas station employee. And then I also just like at the party and stuff when people are like, you look so well. And she's like, no, you look so well. And you're like, I'm glad you, and then she was like, I can't remember what the exact line was, but the person was like, something along the lines of like, I lost my mind 2 years ago. And she's like, when are you going to find it? And then it's like, it's just like, she's so bluntly savage. These people are like such these, what like Jackson wants, or is his name Jackson? Yeah. What Jackson wants this world where all these people just seem like they're almost
perfect.
Perfect. But like mind robots where it's just like, they don't have real emotions. They're not real people. They're just like, ha ha ha. Yeah. Like how's the country club? How's it? And that's like, none of the conversations connect. It's just like saying words back and forth. But yeah, and all, I mean, then kind of just boils up to the end of the movie where she burns down a forest and in the middle of the woods. But yeah, I don't know. I think this movie is effective. I liked it more than I didn't. I do agree with your criticisms that it definitely is a very repetitive movie, especially the first hour 20. The final 40, like you said, breaks the mold and gives you a lot more backstory. But yeah, there's so much to this movie that takes a lot to digest, like with the whole Lakeith Stanfield side plot, with the whole everything with going on with their mental health, with the house, with the mother, with the uncle story, and Nick Nolte story. It's like there's a lot here that Lynn Ramsey puts on the table. And again, I haven't read the book, obviously, so I don't know how much of it is from the book and how much of it isn't. But yeah, it's a quite the movie to digest for sure. Not going to get any awards consideration, I imagine. But again, like I mentioned, there's things like if I saw it nominated for something, I'd be like, yeah, it makes sense. I'm for it.
I mean, we'll talk awards in a little bit, but right now she's sitting, and I'm looking at Gold Derby. She's sitting at 8th in the odds. It's Jessie Buckley for Hamnet. I'm going to butcher this name. Renata
Reinsva for Cinema Value.
Reinsva for Cinema Value. Cynthia Erivo for Wicked. Emma Stone for Begonia, and Rose Byrne for If I Had Legs. So yeah, she's up there, but I would like to see her in that top 5. But obviously, I haven't seen like Cinema Value or Wicked for Good yet. But yeah, all right. Yeah, anything else you want to say? I feel like that was a
I don't got anything else.
Nice hefty conversation of a movie we both were. I love. I mean, I don't love movies like that, but I love movies where we're both not like crazy high on it, but we still like are able to throw up a lovely conversation. But let's move on to the other big release, maybe the biggest release of the week. Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein, a long passion project of Guillermo del Toro, stars Oscar Isaac as Frankenstein, Jacob Elordi as the creature. You also have Christoph Waltz and Mia Goth. Dr. Victor Frankenstein, a brilliant but egotistical scientist, brings a creature to life in a monstrous experiment that ultimately leads to the undoing of both the creator and his tragic creation. I mean, same thing with Die My Love. I have no idea what you thought of this movie. We haven't talked about it yet. We saved it all for the pod, so take it away. I'm curious.
We'll still break it up into non-spoiler and spoilers, even though it's a tale as old as 150 years. But much like Frankenstein's monster himself, I feel like I like the parts a lot more than the whole. Like, it's just a weird movie. I watched last night, not a weird movie, but I watched it probably 12 hours ago, so it's very fresh.
It's a very interesting put together film.
Yeah, it's just like everything that was happening. Like I liked so much of what was involved. Like, I think the production and costuming was so fantastic. Like, Guillermo del Toro is always impeccable with that, from the scenes with the ship and the men on the ship to when it jumps back in time after 20 minutes into the movie and shows you his childhood and like the costuming and the mansion that they lived in. It was so gorgeous and I was so enveloped by it. And with that whole just era, just everything seemed so true to it. You could tell these sets were very practical. It came out, I just saw this morning that the ship was just a real ship that they built instead of using like a CG or green screen. And Guillermo del Toro is one of the forefront fighters for non-AI, not even non-AI. He's just like practical everything. So, I mean, he's been fighting this battle for a long time. And then like Oscar Isaac, I really, really liked in this. Jacob Elordi, I thought was great as Frankenstein's monster. Good. Christoph Waltz was when I saw him in like the initial chamber when he was showing his invention, it was kind of like a lean forward moment. I'm like, hell yes, Christoph Waltz.
Yeah, I had no idea he was in this movie.
Yeah, and he played I loved him in this movie as well. And like Mia Goth, I don't think got a lot of run to do, and I think it's one of the common criticisms of this movie is how this movie handles the woman of Elizabeth Harlander and Claire Frankenstein and the relationship that kind of there and how that develops. And I feel like that's one of the areas that's lacking. But like, fun scene like Felix Kammerer again. I haven't seen him since All Quiet on the Western Front. Like, all the performances really enjoyed. The production, costuming, loved. I thought even the part that a lot of people don't love is how like digital this movie looks. I really dug it. I thought Guillermo del Toro, I think he does it great. I thought this movie looked great visually. Didn't love Frankenstein's monster design, if I'm being completely honest. That was a little weird for me. So that's like the only thing I can really point to and say, like, didn't really love that. And it's also just complicated to use in a story like this. Like, Jacob Elordi is like one of those things that I feel like you have to either make him like, you can't make him kind of going back to the Netflix conversation of like making serial killers like attractive. You can't make Frankenstein's monster in this in between where people be like, oh, I'm going to call him daddy. Like, it's like, yeah, he needs to either be like fully good looking to where like you can play around with that thematically and say like, what if this Frankenstein's monster was like this heartthrob perfect specimen? Like, that would be an interesting theme to explore. Or you got to make him just this abomination of a creature, which is really the intent of the story, is to be this thing that never should have been created, completely unholy, completely wretched, and grapple with man creating something that decrepit and having that come into society and dealing with the consequences of that. So it's like a weird gray area where like clearly he's like a very deformed, put together, mangled kind of guy, but he's still like Jacob Elordi under that, where like you could have some like attraction there. He's a tall man, fit man. So didn't love the Frankenstein design, but again, all the parts I really enjoyed. It just, when it came together, this movie definitely drags. It's kind of one of my least favorite tropes of how to tell a story, where it starts you off with a bang and then it's like, all right,
Someone
now we
starts
must go
telling a
back 40
story,
years
yeah.
ago and tell you about this. And it's like the whole movie is basically like him in like the barracks of the ship, like telling the captain about this, which I don't know. He tells like a 2-hour story when there's like a guy outside hunting him, which also like, if the whole movie starts with Frankenstein's monster saying like, give me Victor Frankenstein, and he's killing all these people on the crew. And again, this is like not a spoiler because it's like the first 5 minutes of the movie, killing the crew, trying to get to Victor Frankenstein to take him. And he's like, he basically like says flat out, like, give me him and you guys will all be fine. And I know they were like hired to protect this guy because he's like royalty at this point, but like at the end of the day, I feel like it'd be a very easy decision where basically it was like two of the crewmen, like, or the captains were like, nope, we have to protect this guy, versus like 300 crew guys that are going to all die. It's like, I feel like this movie gets very easily solved. As 5 minutes in, those crew guys are going to break into that captain's quarters
and it was
throw this dude overboard, and it's call it a day.
The captain was Oscar Isaac was like, how many crew members did he kill? And the captain was like 6 or 7. I'm like, just give him Frankenstein. Just give him Victor, please.
And like, Victor's like, give me him. He's literally like, you have to promise you will give me to him. Like, it's like, so I'm like, why is this even happening? But no, then it jumps back and it goes to his childhood and shows his relationship with his mother, which doesn't explore a whole lot, but you get this like weird mother-son relationship where he's like in love with her beyond just a mother relationship. He uses the exact words saying, you know, when father was away on business or whatever, like she was all mine. Like it was like a very like possessive, uncharacteristic relationship with his mother that was very much beyond the typical paternal relationship. And then you see his tough relationship with his father, where he's beating into him to be a scholar, to know everything scientifically, which is really what leads him down this madness of trying to recreate that lost love of his mother. And he's kind of dedicated his whole life to be able to resurrect the dead or bring things that are gone forever back to life. And then you go on the story of, you know, Frankenstein, that has been adapted plenty of times. It's one of the most classic novels of all time, where he puts together this monster. I actually think it's been forever since I read the book. It was for school, like high school, maybe middle school. But I think the first movie adaptation, James Wales was the first one to introduce that. It's like different people's body parts put together. I don't think the book actually was that. I can't remember exactly what the book was, but in this movie, it's, you know, all these war veterans. It's in the middle of the war. That's a kind of big background theme of this movie. Is a war's going on. Christoph Waltz is an arms dealer and making all this money, and he wants eternal life. So he basically funds Oscar Isaac endlessly to make this monster. So that's how he's getting all this money, is Christoph Waltz is an arms dealer. Meanwhile, since the war is going on, all these dead soldiers, they just kind of pick the best parts out of each of them. And that's how he's kind of putting together this character. Then you get this romance side plot of his brother, Felix Kammerer, is with Mia Goth's character. And immediately Victor becomes enamored with her and wants to take her on. And I think just the big theme of this movie, or one of the main themes, is just man's arrogance and greed to just think, you know, people die, I should be able to bring them back to life. You have a woman I want, she should be mine, she should fall for me immediately. Just anything you want in this life, just thinking you should be able to take it with no consequences. And we'll kind of get to the ending and spoilers, but I'll leave it there for now in terms of just like, I think a lot of the parts I really liked. I really think Oscar Isaac is really good in this movie, which I was kind of uncertain how much I was going to care for him. To be honest, I think Jacob Elordi was really good. I know it originally was supposed to be Andrew Garfield. I think Andrew Garfield far exceeds Jacob Elordi's acting talent. I don't know how Andrew Garfield would have been better than Jacob Elordi in this movie specifically, though. I think Jacob Elordi was probably kind of the best guy for this job, to be someone that is imposing, tall, brooding, menacing. But, you know, interesting to explore, like, what if this was Andrew Garfield? I just can't picture that in my mind, but who knows? I'm sure with Andrew Garfield's talent, he would have made it work. But yeah, again, it's weird. Like, it's like if you just gave me like a checklist of like, did you like this or did you not about the movie? I'd probably check like on like almost everything. But then when you put together it as a whole, I was kind of bored. kind of underwhelmed. Feel like a lot happened in the final 20 minutes and a lot didn't happen in the middle, like 90 minutes. And I'm ultimately going to land positively. I'm going to give it like a 3-star, but it's just weird, man. I just was watching it and just kind of like happening to me. And I was like, yeah, this is a lot of nice icing and layers and cake. And like, this is fun and polished. But when I kind of finished, I was like, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I was a little more positive. I really like this movie. I had a great time with it. The easy, compliments you can give this movie is, like you said, everything from the production design to the costume design. It's exactly what you would expect from a Guillermo del Toro movie. There's no one film of Guillermo del Toro's you could watch where you criticize the costumes or the design of the film. Nightmare Alley, Hellboy, fucking Pacific Rim. Like, these movies look absolutely stunning. Beyond like the actual costume and production design, I've seen a lot of people say that this movie like just doesn't look good in general beyond the costume and the production design. I'm a little surprised by those criticisms. Like, I think this movie looks great. Like, I really think like Victor's mansion looks phenomenal. I think the townscapes look phenomenal. I think everything on the boat and with like the ice and that environment looks phenomenal. Like, there's no shot in this movie that's gonna like blow you away, with the exception of like that one viral shot of like Frankenstein walking in the distance at the sunset. But I think taking it as far as saying like this movie just doesn't look good is just an absolutely insane criticism. Like, I think this movie is really beautiful to look at. It's one of the most like I don't know, you think of a Guillermo del Toro Frankenstein movie and like I couldn't imagine him having a different aesthetic. Like, this is the exact aesthetic I would have expected him to take. And I think I was very just attracted to that. I'm not familiar with Frankenstein. Like, I hate to admit it. I don't care for Frankenstein history, Frankenstein lore. I've never cared for
Have you
Frankenstein
seen
movies.
like
I've seen a couple.
Bride of Frankenstein, any of the other ones?
I saw like
really
First
seen
of
many,
Frankenstein a couple weeks ago without even realizing it was like the 4th movie in that franchise. But yeah, I've never been the biggest Frankenstein person. It's not like lore and history that I necessarily care about or just find a lot of interest in. So I know like a lot of people are having a little problems with some interpretations and some creative liberties that Guillermo del Toro is taking in this movie. None of those bothered me, which is why I think I had just a little bit of a better experience compared to someone that, has read the original novel or is in love with Frankenstein, like these movies of the 60s and 70s. Whereas like I don't have that relationship with this character. I hate to admit that. Like, I hate to admit that there's just like this incredibly iconic story and these incredibly iconic characters, and I just don't find myself entirely attached to them. But I was really there. I was really intrigued with Guillermo del Toro's approach. I think there's a very clear difference in quality between when Dr. Victor Frankenstein is telling his story and then when it cuts to the creature telling his story. I think that back 50 minutes of the movie or whatever it is, from the time the monster gets on the ship and goes, "My creator told you his tale. Now it's time for me to tell you my tale." Literally the meme of like sitting up. Like, I sat up. I was like, here we go. I am fucking locked in. Like, let's do this. But I liked it. I liked even like the first half when Dr. Victor Frankenstein's telling his story. I like that we started from childhood and then moved into like his obsession with creation. And I just love like, I don't think this falls as heavily into this category, but I just love like these movies about like this obsessed artist. Obviously not to the extremes of like a Black Swan or a Whiplash, but I just love exploring this character who is just dedicating his life to this science that he loves and using it for these like incredibly unholy ways and these unethical reasons. And I was really, really intrigued. I am so, and I'm curious if you agree, I am so, maybe not so surprised, but I am a little surprised that Guillermo del Toro did not take a more traditional approach when it came to the creature's design. Like, I was really expecting like 1960s style Frankenstein to appear on my screen. And I'm not saying the design of Jacob Elordi was poor, because I think like that more human approach to it really gave like that character a little bit of a more sympathetic side. And I was like, when he was chained up in the basement, I was like actually like feeling bad for this guy. I was like, damn, fuck, like I feel bad for you. But I was really expecting like a much more traditional Frankenstein, like you look at like 1931's like Colin Clive, like that iteration of Frankenstein, like that's what I imagined with Frankenstein. And again, it's not a criticism, it's more just me being surprised that Del Toro didn't take like that more of a traditional approach, because like this Frankenstein looks like the final alien at the end of Alien Romulus. Have you seen that movie?
No, but I saw people say it looks like Prometheus or something.
Yeah, it looks like that guy. And then when he grows out his hair, I was like, that's Gabriel from Malignant. Like, why is Gabriel in Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein? So I was it took me a little bit of time to get used to, but once I got used to it, once he like threw on a jacket and turned into like this really brooding, menacing force, I was like, okay, I'm all in. I really love this. Again, as we move into the back half of the movie, everything with the monster, the creature is just, I really, really loved that. I think that quality of filmmaking was so high. That emotional storytelling was incredible. When he's having these really incredible conversations with this old man, and this old man's like, a good man you are, and you are also my friend. And because of that, because I knew you, I am a changed man. And I'm like, that's absolutely gorgeous. That's absolutely beautiful writing. Victoria fell asleep within 25 minutes of this movie, absolutely passed out.
I wouldn't blame people for falling asleep during this.
Yeah, I don't blame her either. The first couple of the first like half hour is a little slow. And then, oh man, I hate to poop on children's actors. The kid that played young Victor Frankenstein, so bad, like so bad. It took me out of the movie entirely, because like he had so much to convey. Like, he hates his dad, his mom dies, like he had so much emotion to convey, and it was just so fucking funny because he was so bad, man. It was unbelievable. But sorry.
No, I obviously know like Guillermo del Toro wrote this movie and made this movie completely independent from Netflix, in the sense that like it's not like Netflix is going to tell Guillermo del Toro what to do. So this is like not a real criticism, but this movie felt Netflix, and like you always hear Netflix talk about how like audiences has no attention span. You have to keep them interested, second screen viewing. And I feel like this movie felt like that. And again, I know Netflix didn't influence anything in this movie, but the way that this movie starts with such a bang, where immediately in the first 5 minutes, Frankenstein's monster is killing all these people, just to then be like flashback to 20 years prior. Now it's like this slow ass story. I'm like, this feels so like Netflix modern popcorny bait, where it's like we have to throw stuff at you right away. So it's like, oh, look at this. This is fun, exciting, scary. Lock in this movie. So then they're like, okay, now we'll start the real movie. We're going to tell you about that, like how this came to be. And it's just,
I almost would have rather them like, and I mean, like even the opening scene when you see Frankenstein's monster just like killing all these people on the boats, like they hide his face. You don't see him. Like you just see like a silhouette and the hair and the jacket. I still almost would have liked them to like just completely hide him in like take that whole first sequence out and just start from when Victor was a child. Cause like, you're right. Like it is very like dangling keys. Like, oh, you see it. Now we're not going to show it to you.
We're building to this. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was just like, not something again that like truly bothers me, but it's almost like there are so many like instances in film, and you're going to laugh because I bring this movie up all the time, but I think this actually warrants this conversation. Lucifer in Constantine. All movie, you're talking about Lucifer. You're hearing about Lucifer, but you don't see Lucifer until his epic entrance at like the hour and 40-minute mark of that movie. And it's one of my favorite character entrances in film, because the movie does such a good job at like building up Lucifer. And I almost wish they had taken a similar, we know Frankenstein, we know who he is, we know what he could do, we know his story. So like the biggest part of adapting a Frankenstein novel is what is he gonna look like? Like, how are they like, what is he gonna look like? And it was almost like I kind of wish they had like built up everything to that point. And then like, I don't know, maybe like one shot you're on the boat and you finally like he takes off his jacket all brooding and you see him and it's like, oh shit, it's Frankenstein's monster. So yeah,
Well, because the way they talk about him is almost more interesting than the way they showed him. Because when they're on the cruise ship, when he comes back, like the crewmen are like, "Oh, our crew have been seeing him in the shadows, like circling the boat for hours." I mean, that would be a sick shot to see. Just like, don't really see this man
walking.
Is he there? Is he not? Like, if we see that instead of like, I feel like the way they were talking about how menacing and like scary and ominous he was just like scarier than what we actually got.
Yeah.
But the movie was like body horror scary, not body horror necessarily, but like the scenes of him like putting together these mangled bodies, sawing through them. That was
I hated that shit, bro. I hated that shit when he was like sawing through ankles and snapping them in half. I was like, this is, or even when Frankenstein's like sitting there like in a fetal position, like chained down. I was like, dude, this is gross, man.
Yeah,
but like
it is grotesque.
Yeah, but
oh, yes, never mind. We're not even in spoilers yet, so
I mean, we can get into spoilers. Let's just move. I honestly forgot we were.
Well, I was about to spoil something. I was like when Christoph Waltz dies and he splats on the ground, like that was even gnarly too. He like lifts up his head
and then picks up his head.
Yeah,
it was so crazy.
But I think the big like disappointment to me was, I think the ending is what like didn't leave it on like a thematic punch that I was hoping for, because I got to get the exact words right of what the actual title is. Frankenstein or the Modern Prometheus is the full title of the original book. So Prometheus, film bros rejoice. We all are familiar with that from Oppenheimer. Someone who creates something has to live with that burden for life, knowing what they brought into this world through their creation could be the very end of it. And I feel like this movie ends with them kind of like Frankenstein's monster helps the boat leave and like saves the crew, doesn't end up like coming to this big feud that we see with like the dynamite and them trying to shoot each other and kill each other. Like you're expecting this movie to come, and the book ends in a much more grim and dark way. Like Dr. Victor Frankenstein is killed. And I feel like the way this movie ends is almost like, well, I feel like the main thematic punch of the story of Frankenstein is you have this mad creator who finds himself to be greedy and arrogant and feel like he has the right to be able to meddle with God's creation, to be able to create life out of nothing, resurrect the dead, break the rules of society and science. And he feels he's justified to be able to bring life into this world himself. And it ends up being this terrifying monster. He's supposed to be terrifying. He's supposed to be wretched. He's supposed to be everything that Oscar Isaac describes Jacob Elordi as in this movie. Even though when you look at Jacob Elordi, you're like, I don't know, he's not that scary or wretched looking, like especially when he's like with that old man like reading the books, is like, I don't know, this just looks like a guy with some like deformities, but he's like a cool guy. But it's supposed to be, he brings this person in this world, he's a terror on society, and he has to go insane knowing that he brought in something that is unkillable, that is going to wreck society, kill people, and just be this awful thing. And the movie ends with him ultimately being killed by his own creation, or the book. So it's like, in this one, it was just kind of weird that like he creates this thing. Because like at that point, it's like, what are you kind of trying to say? You kind of go crazy bringing into this world this completely unholy beast that is unkillable, completely unholy, unnatural, but it like ends up being like a good, like it saves the day, and like, I mean, it kills people, but it ultimately kind of comes to understand. So it's like, I don't know. I think there's some elements that work with the whole final 40 minutes with Frankenstein's monster learning how to read and learning empathy, and he's like helping care for that family by bringing them shrubbery, and he's getting the gifts, and it's fun seeing that. But I guess it's just the final encounters between the two. I don't know if it fully worked for me, and kind of like when it goes great for Frankenstein's monster in the movie, when I'm really into it, I feel like that's when it really lacks for Victor Frankenstein, where he's just kind of resorted to like these sporadic nightmares where he wakes up and like his house is on fire. And I feel like he just kind of gets sidelined, which again, I enjoyed the Frankenstein monster story. And I really loved that final 40 minutes of him learning how to be a real person and learning that, he has that line where he's like, wolves kill sheep and people kill wolves, and there's no animosity between anyone. It's just killing it because like, that's kind of what they're meant to do. Thought that was a great line. So I think there's a lot of good nuggets in here, but I guess the ending just specifically left me feeling a little weird, because I was just like, I didn't know, like, I don't know, he like kind of saves the day. They're like shipwrecked in this icy encounter, and he just killed a bunch of them, but then he's like, All right, I understand. And the thing is, like, the movie, the way we watch it makes sense because you see him be created and you see him learn this empathy and learn how to be a human and what it means to be human and wanting connection. And then at the end of it, he sets the ship free. But if you think about it timeline wise, it doesn't really make sense because when he's attacking people at the beginning of the movie on the ship, that's all already happened. So when you think about that, it's like
he should have like approached the ship like nice,
yeah, because like did he, like, when he drowned or something, was he just like, oh, having this like come to Jesus moment? Because like when you really pull it apart, it's like, well, all this happened for us in the last 2 hours, but like the movie's not like, so it just didn't really fully connect for me. But what other spoilers? So I mean, I really like Christoph Waltz in this movie. I thought he's a guy who whenever he shows up, I'm like, why do we not get more of this guy? Like, is he just not interested in acting a bunch anymore? Because I feel like any person would want to cast him, but he's great. He's this oligarch, rich guy giving all his money to Victor Frankenstein. We ultimately end up, he has syphilis, I believe is what it is. And he's trying to cure it with mercury and just knows his demise is coming. So he, in a desperate plea, when Victor is finally going to resurrect his full monster, he kind of says, like, put me in the body, put my mind in it. Like, I'm about to die. That's where you get that final clash between the two, where he ends up falling down this big corridor and splatting and dying. And then that is also Mia Goth's uncle. So he's like hiding the death from them. But yeah, I don't know. What do you think of the whole Oscar Isaac, like Mia Goth, like romance? Like,
I didn't buy into it, honestly, at all. I don't know. It was like, I think one of the biggest criticisms that I have, which this is not an original thought, is Mia Goth in this movie. And it's not that she was like a poor actress in this film. It's not like she didn't do her job. I just feel like they just didn't give me enough to work with her. Like I really, like, I struggled to like buy into like her character, her character's motives, her character's relationships. Like I was more buying into Oscar Isaac and or Victor and his brother, like that relationship. And it felt like Mia Goth's character was just kind of there to like add this potentially like more like, like deeper familial feud, but like it never panned out that way. It never worked. And even as you approach like the final 35-40 minutes of this movie, it feels like she was just completely sidelined. So like it was just, I don't know, to me it's just, it was such like a nothing inclusion to like have that. I almost wish you didn't give Victor Frankenstein like any sort of relationship. Like even as a child, I almost wish we didn't give him like that, like really possessive relationship of his mother. I wish like he grew up cold. He was always cold. He is a monster. He can't feel emotion. He can't love. And like parts of this movie do have me feeling that way, but then they try to like shove this relationship and this romance down your throat. And I'm like, this just isn't working. Because I don't think I'm buying into Victor Frankenstein entertaining this romance, because I don't strike that character as someone that would engage romantically. Like he seems like a very calculated man, dead set on achieving one goal. Even if it means sacrificing love and emotion, he's going to get there. And I think that's why I don't necessarily think I bought too heavily into like Mia Goth. I mean, she's great. She's fine. I don't think she has a lot to work with. I just wasn't buying into her character or her character's motivations.
Yeah, I think a problem movies, I feel like these days kind of can run into, and like going back to the whole Netflix like murder TV series, is like, I feel like it seems like writers these days to try to put empathy into every character when you don't necessarily need them. And I get that it can make characters complex, but Victor Frankenstein isn't someone you're supposed to ever like feel really bad for. Like, I guess his demise you want to try and empathize with, but this is a guy who's like truly just not someone who needs it. And it kind of, it's just weird how it kind of really forces it into you a lot throughout this movie of like feeling bad for this man who's doing all this. But yeah, the whole Mia Goth
liked. Sorry, one thing. Like when you're first, Jesus, this blanket's pissing me off right now. Fuck me. I just hate when my blankets aren't like organized. The first dinner that they have all together, I didn't sense any romance, but what I did sense was a little pushback from Mia Goth's character, where they like the Christoph Waltz and the other guy leave the room, and it's just Oscar Isaac and Mia Goth going back and forth about like morality or Victor's work. And I liked that relationship where it wasn't romantic, but she felt like she felt like this like intellectual adversary where she's like coming in and she's not involved in any of these experiments, but she's very like she's a very opinionated person when it comes to like the morality of what Victor's doing. And I almost like that relationship where, you know, she's just pushing back a little bit. It's not romantic. It's not whatever. It's more so just like, here's this guy who's ice cold. Here's this woman who is going to push back on that very man's existence. And I like that relationship. You know, I don't know if I'm making sense right now, but like that's the relationship
totally.
I think I more so was buying into. But then, of course, it got to like a point of like slight romance. And I was like, I'm not buying into that aspect of this relationship.
Yeah, I think, again, as someone who's not super brushed up on the story of the Book of Frankenstein, I think anyone who watches this, even if you've never even read the book or seen any adaptations, I feel like just as someone who watches movies and sees screenplays on the screen, you can kind of know right away that her character got way too sidelined, because the character really gets introduced as the fiance of his brother, challenges him initially, then it kind of jumps to this romance that never really feels real, where it's more Victor just kind of forcing it on her, where it's kind of like that classic stereotype of like where women are like, men always think women are flirting when they're like just being nice, which like maybe some things cross the line a little bit, but for the most part she's kind of just like being, I'm the fiance of your brother and like we're going to be acquaintances, but he's just like fully fallen for her. Yeah. Goes from that to then seeing the creature and be like, this is awful, to then going away with the creature. And that's when she dies. And it's like, I feel like there's just so much that it almost feels like if this movie was supposed to be 3 hours and 30 minutes got snipped out, seems like all of it was like Mia Goth stuff, because the whole arc of her going from someone who is this newcomer to the family, being a niece of this wealthy arms dealer who's providing all this for you, to then maybe a romance budding there, to then challenging the morality of what you're doing, to then saying free the creature and becoming completely appalled by it, to then finding that this guy most likely killed her uncle, to then running away with Frankenstein's monster and then dying. It's like, it just seemed like we were just getting like small flashes of her. And I feel like that character is someone who, like, to go from someone who is the niece of an arms dealer and marrying into kind of or being like royalty, to then questioning the morality of everything and going and falling for the monster in a way of going off with them. I just feel like we don't ever see enough to like make it make sense in the movie, to make it feel like, yeah, this is a natural arc or character would go down. It all seems very sporadic and dramatic and overreactionary. Like it seems like she's like acting on a whim, when like her character seems very smart and calculated, and she doesn't ever seem like the type of character to just be like, oh, I'm just going to do something crazy right now. Like she always seemed like she was very with it, methodical, smart woman. So the way that her character in the movie seems to be just jumping between all these things just didn't really fully connect for me. So I think the weakest part of the movie for sure is Mia Goth. And again, like you said, nothing about her acting ability. I thought she was great for what she had to do. Just didn't get a whole lot for it. Whereas Oscar Isaac, I thought, was fantastic. I thought Jacob Elordi, especially in that final half of the movie, is phenomenal.
Really like Jacob, man. I really like Jacob. I was surprised by how much, especially after like the first time he wakes up and like you see like the design. I wasn't fully sold on the design, but then like Jacob starts acting, and especially leading into like that second half of the movie where he's narrating, I was like, yeah, I'm really liking this. I'm really buying into this. And then honestly, I think if that second act wasn't as strong as it was, I would be much lower on this movie. But I really do think like it's such a good like final hour of this film. I was so bought into everything going on.
We got some Oscar Isaac bush in this movie. A couple snippets.
Yeah, Oscar Isaac ass too.
Yeah. Which is, he had a tub scene. It was very Dune coded. I feel like, and he's also referred to as a Baron in this movie. So it's like, he's kind of in another world. He's like, maybe if Dune didn't fall the way it did, he could be a Baron. But yeah, I think ultimately this is a movie. Like, I don't know. This is a movie that I've had this criticism for a few this year, where it's like, 2.5 hours wasn't the right length for this. This should have been 2 hours, or it should have been 3 hours. I feel like the length we got was an awkward length, where they either could have cut out some of the stuff they were trying to say and make it make more sense and make it shorter and more interesting and fun to watch, or they could actually flesh out so many of these ideas they try and put in there but don't pay enough attention to, and give us a 3-hour movie. And honestly, personally, I probably would have leaned towards the 3-hour side, because again, this movie is so gorgeous to me. Like, I know a lot of you are hating on it. Me and you are not in that camp. We thought it was great to look at, But even just not even talking about the way it's shot or digitally, like if just costuming and production design alone, this is a world I would have loved to just stay in and tuck into for 3 hours and get fully immersed in this. But we just got kind of an awkward amount where it just felt like a lot of things felt unfinished to me. And the way it did just didn't really fully come together. And again, I just usually, it's very rare for me to like or love a movie that does the tropey, something happens, okay, let me tell you all about it, flashing back and forth. Like it just seems like a very cheap, like easy way to approach a story. Like you don't really know how to approach it. So you're like, I'm just gonna have someone narrate this whole tale. So not a fan of that. And I don't think it worked the best for it. And it's one of those that like when it first cut back after Frankenstein's monster kills a bunch of people on the boat, and all of a sudden we see Victor as a child. Like I get it, you have to go there, but it's kind of like one of those eye roll things. Like of course, like give us the big action and craziness at the beginning, and be like, now we got a flashback to when you were a little boy and you had mommy issues and your daddy was mean to you, and you think he killed your mom. But yeah, and then also I was surprised the brother relationship developed the way it was, because I feel like the way it set it up as a child was that the younger brother obviously was the one who was favored by the father, getting spoiled rotten. The father loved him, whereas Victor was much more hard on. So I kind of expected a different power dynamic between them when they were grown, where I thought like the younger brother would be, which he was, like the wealthier one and like had the access to be able to get him what he needed, but he kind of was just like a cuck and fell in line with Victor immediately. He's like, yep, I'll just be your server boy. And like because immediately he's like kind of like the project manager of putting together this mansion and lair. And then like when they're leaving town, Victor's just like, nope, you stay here. Sorry, bye. And I was like, oh, I didn't really guess that from their childhood relationship of where the older brother was outcast and the younger brother got everything in the world, that immediately in their adulthood, like the younger brother was just going to fall in line with whatever he says. But again, maybe that's fallen into the thought. Once the dad dies, the younger brother has no direction. So he just grasps onto the older brother and just listens to whatever he says. But, good movie. Didn't hate it. It seems like I know it seems like you've been looking at Call Sheet or whatever, the odds are a little higher, but it seems like everything's saying this is like almost a lock for a Best Picture nominee at this point.
Because I mean, I think people are swinging back and forth on the Netflix selection, whether it's going to be Frankenstein or Jay Kelly. Which one, annoying that they're like, there doesn't need to be a Netflix selection, but like the way the Oscars goes, it's like very rare that Netflix won't have a representative at the Academy. So I think right now people are just leading through Frankenstein, just because it's like, I guess it's the better like narrative. Like it's a filmmaker that has won an Oscar and this is his passion project, versus like just another Noah Baumbach picture. I'm not trying to like put down Jay Kelly in any way, but there's obviously two very clearly different stories going on here.
Have you seen Jay Kelly?
Yeah, saw the film festival.
Yeah, they were both 3-star movies to me, so I wouldn't care which one or the other goes in. They're equal in my mind.
Yeah, both three.
Not excited about either of them.
Yeah, me too. They were both great for what they were. But yeah, it seems like a lot of people are leaning Frankenstein. But yeah, well, I mean, we can move into. I mean, again, man, I say this all the time, but I feel like when I go through the news of the last week, it's just nothing. Like I feel like it's been a quiet like week of news, with the exception of a couple of trailers. So I threw in a little like Oscar discussion just to kind of talk about who like the big contenders are as we approach the middle to end of November, because this is time where it ramps up. Like I said, the Gotham Awards have no indication on what's going to happen at the Oscars in terms of nomination and wins, but the Gotham Awards are a pretty clear like point in the year where it's like, okay, award season is starting. The Gotham nominations have happened. We are starting with the award season. So I just think we'll talk about the big eight. So Best Picture, the top three have been pretty consistent over the last couple of months, and that's Hamnet, One Battle After Another, and Sinners. A lot of people are calling Hamnet the Best Picture favorite right now. However, I'm calling One Battle After Another the Best Picture favorite, because I do think this is Paul Thomas Anderson's year. I think he's winning Best Director. He's an 11-time nominee, or 11 or 12-time nominee. And this just feels like the perfect opportunity to kind of give him that award that he is so been deserving of over the last decade. And then, Sinners, Wicked is up there. Of course, you'd also see Cynthia Erivo in Best Actress. And a lot of people are saying that as of right now, Ariana Grande is the supporting actress favorite. But of course, a lot of people are mostly saying that because it's just not the strongest year for supporting actresses. And I'll tell you how it's not the strongest year for supporting actresses is because Amy Madigan in Weapons is actually getting awards consideration, which is sick. I love that. I posted a TikTok video after Weapons saying that Amy Madigan should be considered for the supporting actress award. So it's really nice to see her in like that top 5 in terms of favorites. It seems like her and Gwyneth Paltrow from Marty Supreme are kind of like that 5th and 6th slot. And then Ariana Grande is in that one spot with Tiana Taylor, who I think they're going to campaign heavy for in supporting actress, since Chase Infinity is obviously now being campaigned for in
lead.
In lead. Yeah. Director. I mean, before we just blow past picture, Frankenstein, Avatar, and Begonia kind of round out that 10 with Hamnet, One Battle, Sinners, Wicked, Sentimental Value, and Marty Supreme. Those are kind of like the 10 odds favorites right now. I think like K Meeks is a big advocate of The Secret Agent. I think he's like that should be nominated. I haven't seen The Secret Agent. Park Chan-wook's No Other Choice. That's being heavily considered for adapted screenplay and foreign language film. And because of that, I feel like the Academy is always a little reluctant in like adding it to the Best Picture nom, because it's like, it's obviously going to win foreign language film. Why are we going to waste a Best Picture spot on it? Which bad way to approach nominees, but whatever. Yeah, I mean, nothing else like really turns your head in the Best Picture. Best Director, it is the Chloe Zhao versus PTA race right now. As much as I love Ryan Coogler for Sinners, and I'm sure he'll get that nomination, I think fans of Sinners really need to prepare for 0 Oscar wins, potentially original screenplay, and potentially best original score. But I really think there is a world where 12 o'clock at night, when you and I are recording our post-Oscar reaction, we're going to be sitting here telling our audience Sinners walked away with 0 Oscars. That sucks. I hate that. But I think that is a very realistic possibility. I think sorry, I'm just yapping right now. You can interject at any point.
No. Yeah. You can keep up.
No one is looking at John M. Chu as a serious like contender. No, don't laugh. No one's looking at him as like a serious, like this guy can win the Oscar. There's just no way. I think he'll get into the directing 5. I do. Right now, I think his odds are like 7th or 8th. He's hovering at like 2%. So people are writing him off entirely. I feel, this is what I feel. I have feelings. I feel like Wicked for Good. I think people are underplaying just how massive of a cultural phenomenon this movie is going to be. You know what I'm saying? Like, I
mean, I feel like the first Wicked was a decent phenomenon as well. Though.
Yeah, I think this second one is gonna blow it out of the water. Like, genuinely, I think this second Wicked movie. I don't know why I think this way. I don't know. A spirit angel came to me in my sleep and told me this, but I think he's going to get into that 5. I think people are throwing out Josh Safdie for Marty Supreme. Joaquin Trier for Sentimental Value will be in there. I think that 5th slot is going to go to John M. Chu. And obviously that opinion can change in a couple of months. We'll see the reception that Wicked actually gets when it finally comes out. But that's my prediction. I feel like there's a possibility he can get in.
Yeah, it would also fall in line with like how the Academy usually likes to do things with like part 1s and part 2s or trilogies, where like they nominated the first one a bunch but didn't give it any wins. Dune. So it might be this is where they want to get the wins.
Yeah. Dune, perfect example. Yeah. Best actress. I mean, I haven't seen Hamnet yet, but people are saying don't even show up to the Oscars if you're not named Jessie Buckley, because it seems like that level of lock. I genuinely have not seen people talk about this level of lock in winning an Academy Award since Avatar: Way of Water for visual effects. Like, people are talking about Jessie Buckley winning this award literally as if like no one else should even show up to the Academy Awards.
I feel like that can be the kiss of death though when it's this early on of a lock, because I think a lot of people say award season, like sometimes voters just get like bored. They're like, oh, that was like always the lock. Like, let's spice things up with this awards body. And then all of a sudden, like that one awards body that decided they wanted to just go something different, all of a sudden builds new momentum for a new campaign. Someone makes a big speech. But I don't know, Jessie, but like I haven't seen Hamnet yet. And I know Seth didn't like it. I know some other people didn't like it. But whenever, to be honest, have you seen Hamnet? No. Whenever I see the trailer in theaters, I'm like, I don't know. I might freaking really love this thing, man. Like that trailer moves me. I think it's a great trailer. I think it'll be very emotional. But Chloe Zhao just got showered in all kinds of awards for Nomadland, and Academy. Is this the message we want to send to directors, that you can win all your Oscars, go make a Marvel movie, and come right back and we'll give you all the Oscars once again? It's like, is that what you want to? You want to tell people go make your slop and we'll welcome you back? No, you got to work for it. You got to go in director's jail for a movie. Hamnet, I'm sure it'll be great. Maybe it wins like a Jessie Buckley award, but Chloe Zhao just like 4 years ago got her praise for Nomadland. She won director, right? And I think she won obviously picture director. I think she might even won writer. So
I'm sure they won original screenplay.
I hope Hamnet just like moves out of the way and allows One Battle After Another and Sinners and some of these other movies to shine a little more at the wins, because I don't know, it's whatever. And I think I believe Paul Mescal's running in supporting actor. Which I hear, again, neither of us have seen the movie, but I've seen some people say this is like the most egregious category fraud in like the history of category fraud. As in he's like very much the lead. I mean, he's William Shakespeare. Like,
he's playing William Shakespeare, dude. That's the funniest shit in the world. Like, but, that's actually so funny. He's not just playing like Joe Schmo, Jessie Buckley love interest. He's playing William fucking Shakespeare. Which is so crazy. But I mean, before we move on to that, let's best actress is stacked this year. Like I'm looking at like what people are considering like the top 15 actress performances in terms of odds makers, and you could honestly pick out any 5 of these ladies and I wouldn't even be remotely upset. You know, you're seeing like Eva Victor for Sorry Baby. She's got a less than 1% chance of being nominated. She might be my second favorite acting performance of the year on the women's side. Like, she's absolutely stunning. Kate Hudson is up for Song Sung Blue. She's kind of fallen. People were writing her in as like a locked nominee, but she's been pretty much fallen ever since, like, you know, Begonia came out and Die My Love reactions came out and Rose Byrne, If I Had Legs. You know, that's getting a lot of critical acclaim. But yeah, best actress, I like, as of right now, this is the category I'm like most interested in. This is a fucking shit show in the best way possible. Like, I could even expand this to like the top 25 on odds makers, and I'd be chilling. Like, insane category right now.
I mean, it makes sense with like, I remember when we did like our kind of mid-year, we kind of felt like there was no real like candidates for like any of these that we were like that confident in. Whereas now it's like so many are coming out. So it's like, I feel like, I mean, I know Jessie Buckley's running away with the actress side right now, it seems like, but I feel like so much of this year we were like, I don't know who I could see taking home an Oscar. So it's like, now that they're all kind of coming up, it's like they're all pretty even. But yeah, I mean, it's fun. I feel like this is one of the more unknown, because we mentioned it before where it's like, we've gone through so much whiplash of people being like, close the book, Sinners winning everything, to then, oh, nope, One Battle After Another, sweet, to then, nope, everyone stop, Sentimental Values, The Lock, everyone go home. Now it's Hamnet. Who knows? We still got big movies to come out still this year that when it comes out, maybe it just gets overwhelming reception. That's the new lock. Maybe, you know, fingers crossed when Bradley Cooper's Is This Thing On comes out, that's our sweeping things. I freaking love Will Arnett and Laura Dern in that movie. But no, I think this award season is, I was going to say far from over, but, you know, it really hasn't even begun. But in terms of the discourse around and the odds, I think so much is going to shift around, and it's fun. I feel like I can see why, obviously the gamification of art can be a detractor, but I think it's fun how award season isn't just a cut and dry, like this is the best movie, this is winning. It really is very subjective with speeches and campaigns, and it very is like a political thing. And it's fun to see that play out because, again, it's similar to like the whole rating movies, like it's not that serious. That's how I view awards. I think awards are not that serious. So it's like, it's fun to let it be this whole thing, even though awards are serious, because I think when lesser movies get Oscar nominations or wins, I think that's a huge win for them because people see it that otherwise wouldn't. So I think that's where it is serious, where if you give a smaller movie, that's why like it's a little bit of a bummer that, I love Avatar, you love Wicked. To me, I think it's a bummer when like those type of movies are like just lock shoe-ins to get a Best Picture nomination, because like of course they will. But I mean, Wicked, I feel like might have like, people said this last year though, that it might have the surprise chance to win something like a Best Picture, like something crazy. I don't think it's there, but it's kind of annoying that when these big blockbuster, huge spectacle movies like get nominations, because like, I don't know, give that nomination to a Sorry Baby, or give that nomination to one of these smaller independent films that so many more people will see purely because they're like, well, it's nominated for Best Picture, let's go watch it. Whereas like Avatar's making $3 billion, Wicked's making $1 billion. Like,
you look back,
they're not going to win the
Parasite.
award. What's the point?
Think about like the blow up Parasite had after it was even nominated for all these Academy Awards, and then it wins Best Picture, and people are like, "Oh, okay, let's tap in." Like, you're absolutely right.
That single-handedly made, I don't even know, an unquantifiable amount of people expose themselves to reading subtitles in a movie in a way that I don't think any other movie ever has in history, and that can't be discounted. So it's like being able to show people movies that are independent or more challenging is fun. So that's why it's a little bummer sometimes when like the populist films get nominated, unless they have like actual shot of winning. But it's fun seeing like one battle after another, which obviously in our world is the most popular film, but that movie didn't make that like any money. And Sinners did great at the box office for Sinners standards, like it smashed projections, but it's still not like a big blockbuster movie in terms of how much money it actually brought in. So it's fun when these movies get more recognition.
Yeah, agreed. Best actor, people are chalking this up pretty much to DiCaprio versus Chalamet fight. I don't know, man. This is very much like DiCaprio Chalamet nominations locked. Like I've never seen two actor nominations locked as heavily as these two. But then like everything else is like Michael B. Jordan for Sinners. I don't think he's going to get in. I know people are like banking on him to move in, but I don't think he's getting there. I think Ethan Hawke for Blue Moon is absolutely like potential nomination that we need to be taking seriously. Jeremy Allen White, I loved him in Spring Spree. I know you're not that high on that movie as I am, but I loved him. I am like, as much as I love Jeremy Allen White, I don't know if he's in my top 5 right now. Like Jesse Plemons very quickly rose to my top 3 for Begonia. I would absolutely love to see him get into that bunch. I don't think George Clooney did enough in Jay Kelly to warrant the nomination. Still need to see The Secret Agent, because I know, again, K Meeks, he's saying Wagner Moura should win the award. So I'd be interested to watch that movie and kind of see where I land on him. But this just at this point in time, and again, like you said, things can absolutely change by the time the Oscars roll around. This feels like the DiCaprio Chalamet fight to the end. The same way how last year really felt like the Brody Chalamet fight to the end. This one feels like the DiCaprio Chalamet fight to the end. I'm leaning Chalamet right now. I think there are 2 options the Academy can take. One, give Leo his second Oscar, because they know Timothy will win 2 or 3 in his lifetime. And he's still very young. So why would they give him an Oscar right now? Let's give Leo, his flowers once again. Or 2, they say, okay, we've already given Leo an Academy Award. You have this young talent in Chalamet who came very close last year, putting on a better performance this year. Let's give him it this year. Like, this is the year Chalamet deserves it. So I don't know, man. I don't know who I would put my money on right now. I really don't. But going to be interesting to watch that one unfold. Would have loved to see Daniel Day-Lewis climb the ranks a little bit, but I think just the overall reception of Anemone is like stopping that, even though I think he is just sublime in that film. Obviously, he's Daniel fucking Day-Lewis.
Honestly, though, it might be the best because he hates the public spotlight so much, and we obviously know he's retired, and it doesn't sound like he's fully coming out of retirement. But if we threw him into another awards campaign, I feel like it would have solidified he's never coming back in. If he had to go through all these award shows and interviews and press, like I think Anemone, you could already tell was taken out of him enough going on just like the film festival circuit for that.
Yep.
Maybe, giving him a year off from not having to go through the award circuit might give him a little itch to be like, okay, I could do this again. This wasn't too bad with the press, but yeah, I don't think, it's a movie to still think about, but not going to get nominated, I don't think.
Yeah, I agree. And then, I know I haven't seen Is This Thing On yet, but I know you're big on Will Arnett. I would have loved to finish watching Frankenstein and been like, oh, Oscar Isaac, what a performance. But I don't, as great as he was in the movie, I just don't feel that way. I was very surprised to not see Josh O'Connor a little higher for The Mastermind. I know a lot of people were absolutely loving him in The Mastermind. I know a lot of people were loving him in Knives Out or whatever.
True.
The third one is called.
He's so good. He's so good.
Yeah,
man.
It's also, I feel like for the Josh O'Connor discourse, it's I haven't seen the movies he's in, but for the way people are talking about it, he's not only good in one movie, not only is he good in two movies, but he's good in three movies this year, if you include The History of Sound. So I feel like that's one of those instances where it's he's not going to win for any of these movies, but let's at least give him some recognition because of how great he is. And I'm not even on the Josh O'Connor train yet. I haven't seen any of these movies. But I certainly expected to see him higher on the odds makers just because he is putting in the work,
Yeah.
That just seems like something the Academy would want to reward. Supporting actress we kind of touched on right now. Ariana Grande and Tiana Taylor are kind of the two heavy odds front runners. Elle Fanning being a close third for Predator Badlands. That was a joke. Sentimental value. Sorry. Didn't land. Amy Madigan, still in that top five for the odds makers, man. I'm confident by the time the Oscars rolls around, she will fall, but just love seeing her up there. That would be it would never win. Never in a million years. But that would be such a fun nomination, man. You give Weapons one nomination and it's supporting actress. I just think that's fucking sick. Supporting actor, Sean Penn and Stellan Skarsgård and Paul Mescal seem to be the three front runners. I haven't seen Sentimental Value or Hamnet yet. So Sean Penn of the films I have seen would be my selection. I know Benicio del Toro, they're looking at a double nominee for One Battle. I know they're heavily campaigning Sean Penn and Benicio, so I think that's a very big possibility. Adam Sandler and Jay Kelly, we talked about this, I think, on the podcast. Or this, I think I might have talked about it with Seth before you had watched it. My biggest problem with George Clooney or Adam Sandler and George Clooney and Jay Kelly is the whole movie. I was waiting for that moment, the Oscar moment, the clip that they're going to show when they're nominated for Oscars, and it never came. So I don't. And they're both good in the movie. But even if you look at a movie like Jay Kelly, one of the last scenes of the movie where George Clooney is chasing after the taxi, Adam Sandler gets out of the taxi. When I was watching the movie, I propped myself up because I was like, "This is it. This is the Oscar moment." And it underwhelmed me. So I'm not seeing the Adam Sandler nomination. I would much rather see a Jacob Elordi nomination for Frankenstein or a Delroy Lindo nomination for Sinners, which I think a lot of people are not taking seriously. I think a Delroy Lindo nomination for Sinners is a real possibility. Even a fucking Miles Canton for Sinners, I think he's phenomenal.
It's a bummer because I feel like if Miles Canton was a bigger name, he'd be a shoe-in because the way that he played the guitar, sung the music live.
Yeah,
so much more than just beyond a normal acting performance. And Delroy Lindo is great as well. If one of them gets nominated, it's going to probably be Delroy Lindo. But I think some of that, I mean, again, he's fantastic. But I think some of that's from the name as opposed to Miles Canton. If that's, I don't know, insert any other actor into that exact role. I feel like if they're a household name, they're getting nominated for sure for everything he's able to do musically and with kind of he's borderline, could be considered one of the leads of that movie as well. The whole movie's starts and ends with him. So walking into that church. But yeah, I think right now I don't know. I love Sean Penn and Benicio del Toro and One Battle After Another so much, but I don't really want to see a double nominee from them because the people right on the edge, like Jacob Elordi, Delroy Lindo, that's so much more interesting to me. Like get them in the top 5. That'd be more fun to me. But yeah, I don't know.
Also,
but again, I wouldn't complain.
No, I wouldn't complain, but it's like I think at again, we're recording this on November 9, so a lot of shit can change by the time the Oscars rolls around. But like if the Oscars were today, or if they announced nominations today, Sean Penn is winning the award. Like I'm not going to say it's a lock, but I think he is the betting favorite. He is the front runner. So it's like if you're going to give the award to one battle after another, I don't think you need to nominate it twice, like you said, like give it to a Delroy Lindo, like make it fun, like give it to someone else. Like if you're going to give the award to this movie, I don't think this movie needs 2 nominations in the supporting actor category,
especially not to jump ahead, but because the best casting one battle after another's favor right now. So it's like, if you're nominating 2 supporting actors and maybe even 2 supporting actresses, Regina Hall is not an impossibility to also get in there with Tiana Taylor, plus Leonardo DiCaprio, plus Chase Infinity. Like if you're already nominating like everyone in this cast, and then also going to give them the best casting award, it's like, I don't know. I'm always a big proponent of the Oscars. Like I just don't think it's as fun when there's like 4 movies that get 15 nominations each. I think it's a lot more fun when you have 20 movies that each get 5 nominations. Like I just think that's just so much more interesting to follow. So I don't know. Especially when there's double nominees in a category, I think it's always a little lame. But again, I love the performances. So I wouldn't complain.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, completely agree on that last point. Adapted screenplay, I think this is the important one this year because One Battle and Hamnet are racing and adapted. So I don't know the exact stats, but I'm pretty sure over the last like 3 decades, if you win screenplay, you're going to win the Oscar or the Best Picture Oscar. So that'll be an interesting race to see how it kind of unfolds across awards season. I'd still put my money on One Battle. I obviously have not seen Hamnet, but I'm staying true to my thought that the Academy cares about stories. And I think this is just a perfect story, 11 nominees for Paul Thomas Anderson, 0 wins. This is his biggest, potentially most ambitious project, I would say. It is his first collab with the greatest actor of all time, and they both delivered. I just think this is such a perfect opportunity to just shower this man, Paul Thomas Anderson, in an unbelievable amount of flowers. But again, Chloe Zhao and Hamnet, it's there. Like that's a serious contender that people need to be really like looking at. And then original screenplay, I think Sinners and Sentimental Value will be the front runners. I'll be curious about Marty Supreme. I'll be curious to see how reception for Marty Supreme is when it comes out in December. Obviously, the reception has been incredibly high post a couple of film festivals. But rose-colored glasses. That's why I removed my rating from Marty Supreme. I want to rewatch it when I'm not insanely high on adrenaline at like the secret screening of the New York Film Festival. But I'll still be curious to see how my thoughts hold up on Marty Supreme. We're not talking about my thoughts, though. We're talking about the Oscars, but just how general reception is on Marty Supreme post-release. But yeah, that's we won't go through like the tech categories, but you're looking at it quickly. Like cinematography seems like a Sinner's lock. Costume design, Frankenstein, Wicked for Good. Those feel like the obvious. Visual effects, Way of Water. You could just give Jim Cameron the Oscar right now. There's no point in anyone else even showing up to the fucking Academy Awards for that fucking category. I think it's gonna be really funny. Not funny, but like when you look at like production design, costume design, hair and makeup, potentially cinematography, potentially sound, potentially visual effects, you're going to see like Wicked and Frankenstein clean up. And then when you get to like the big 8 awards that we just went through, you're going to see like One Battle and Hamnet and whatever Sinners clean up. And it's going to be just like a very interesting like difference between those 2 sets of movies. I don't mean that in like a disrespectful way. Just like a, just an observation. But yeah, that's it. The only other category I feel truly passionate about is Best Animated Feature, because I would love to see Ne Zha 2 take that award home. Don't even think it's going to get a nomination, unfortunately. I think K-Pop Demon Hunters is all but like locked, depending on what Zootopia 2 reception looks like.
Dude, K-pop Demon Hunters is gonna it's threatening for Grammys too.
Yeah, the Grammy nominations came out, and it was not. Dude, one, I think Sinners won. One, new one. If we're talking about useless award shows, the Grammys, but two, I think Sinners actually just set the record for the movie with the most nominations, with 5, I believe. I think Sinners nodded 5 nominations at the Grammys. I don't know what the nominations were. I think I just saw like a discussing film tweet. But I care less about the Grammys than I do about my. I don't know. I don't think there's anything I care less about than the Grammys, actually. But all right, that'll wrap up awards talk. I'll be curious to like revisit this conversation in like 2 or 3 weeks and see like how we're continuing to stack up, especially as like I mean I know Marty Supreme doesn't come out until December, but like
Christmas,
Wicked for Good is coming out. Yeah, Christmas. Sorry, yeah, Christmas. Wicked for Good comes out in 2 weeks, the 20th, I think. Hamnet is going to have its wide release soon, so I'll be curious to see that reception. So I feel like we could potentially have a completely different conversation in like 3 weeks. So I'll be curious to revisit it. Let me just power through news real quick, and then we could wrap up. Not a lot of news. Biggest trailer of the week is the Michael Jackson biopic. I think this looks horrible. I think this looks so bad, and I am fully preparing for a massive part of Michael Jackson's life to be left out of this biopic, and it's going to be in really bad taste, and I'm going to hate it, and I'm probably not going to watch this movie. I think this looks terrible. I don't know if you share that same sentiment.
No, I think it looks awful. I think it's going to be a terrible movie, and I don't know, because this movie's been in production forever. I think like it was like a year ago now when I said that.
Yeah,
I didn't think it was going to be Focus Features' biggest film of all time, because they came out with the news saying like they're expecting to be their highest grossing ever, which means it'd be higher than any of the Hunger Games or Twilight movies, which means it would have to break 800 million. It's possible for sure, but I still want to stand firm in my prediction that I think this movie's going to underperform expectations. People are thinking there's going to be $1 billion easy. I think musical biopics, we looked at it back a year ago when we started looking at this. They aren't as gangbusters as people think at the box office. They just think they're all print money, but couple 100 million might be the best you could look for. And you could say Michael Jackson's the biggest pop artist of all time, which I would agree. But is he 5 times bigger than Elvis? Is he, what is that? Whitney Houston's biopic came out and that got like $10 million. So is he, 100 times bigger than Whitney Houston's? Is like, yeah, I think he's the biggest pop star of all time, which will get people to theaters. But I don't know. I still like my prediction that I don't think it'll be a $800 million maker, but I can be proven very wrong, but I think the trailer just looked horrendous.
Yeah, I think the trailer is really bad, and I just don't think musical biopics. Like, I don't think the general public loves musical biopics.
Haven't we learned that from like A Complete Unknown and Deliver Me from Nowhere? That like these are not like they have their shooters, but these aren't movies that go gangbusters at the box office. And they give them premium releases every year. Like Deliver Me from Nowhere was a November release, and then Christmas was A Complete Unknown. So it's not like they're burying them in March or something. So.
No. They're like releasing them at a time where they think it's going to perform. Trailer for The Testament of Anne Lee. Did you see this? You didn't see this.
Yeah,
you did see this.
I did.
Okay,
I did, yes.
so you don't talk, don't spoil shit. I'm excited. I'm very excited. I know I'm very like hit or miss on films that touch on religion. I think that's just growing up. It's been a big part of my life, and I think just the way I approach those films, not necessarily it's different from the way anyone else approaches those films, but I think you really got to like do something to like truly floor me for me to love your movie. I'm excited for, I guess, the return of Amanda Seyfried. I don't even know the last time she was in a movie, but I'm excited for her.
She has 2 coming out this year, and then Christmas. She has The Housemaid with Sydney Sweeney.
Oh, yeah, you're right. She does. I forgot about that. Completely forgot about that. Talk about a movie they're trying to bury. And then Godzilla Minus Zero. Very exciting. So exciting. I love Godzilla -1. I think that is the best Godzilla film we have out there. I don't know if that's a hot take. I'm sure the older films hold a lot of nostalgia in a lot of people, and they are incredible. Even if you move to some of the animated Godzilla films, I think there's a whole rabbit hole of Godzilla films that I went through like after -1 came out. And I was like, I didn't realize how many fucking Godzilla movies there were.
Godzilla -1 is by miles my favorite Godzilla movie I've ever seen. Now, don't
Yeah.
ask me if I've seen more than one Godzilla film, but it is my favorite by a landslide.
I can confidently say that even if you did watch other Godzilla films, it would still be your number one.
Especially the recent ones like Godzilla vs Kong.
Yeah, I can't see you giving Godzilla versus Kong more than like a star and a half or something.
Yeah.
And then just some news quickly. My favorite news of the week: Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz will return for a new Mummy movie. As I will tell you right now, my expectations, zero. My expectations are so unbelievably low, but I love The Mummy. It's one of my favorite films ever. I hold that film in such high regard. It is such an adorable action adventure film that every time I watch it, I am just smiling and happy and having a fantastic time with. It's a 5-star movie for me. I fucking love it. Don't care for like the Scorpion King or the Tom Cruise remake. But if whatever, if this is a legacy sequel, give me it. Fuck it. I don't care. I'm excited.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, tabling my expectations. Wicked for Good and Stranger Things both released this week, like 5 to 10 minute clips of the movie and show, respectively. We got to stop that. Stop doing that. I already don't want to watch a trailer. Stop releasing the first 5 minutes of your movie. Stop releasing a random 10-minute segment of your movie. I don't know if this is pissing me off more than it should, but every time I see Discussing Film, new Stranger Things clip, and I see the clip and it's like 8 minutes and 49 seconds, I'm like, don't do that. Don't release that shit. It pisses me off so much.
There has never been a time in history where I'm like, yes, I want to watch this. I've never watched, nor would I ever care to. The only there's 2 movies only I would ever want to see an extended clip of. One would be Merrily We Roll Along from Richard Linklater, because it's not going to release for like 20 years. So if they're like, here's a clip of it, cool. And the other one would be that John Malkovich movie that he made.
That's releasing 100 years.
Yeah, I'd happily watch a clip of that, since we won't get to see the final product anyways. But other than that, I don't care. Like, why do you want to see the first few minutes? Because I don't know. Like, should I just show up late to the movie then in the theater because I saw the first 10 minutes already?
Yeah, so annoying, but whatever. Noah Centineo is in final talks to star as young Rambo, set to be executively produced by the Russo brothers. That's all we know about the movie. I don't care for Noah Centineo, nor do I care for the Rambo movies, but I'm sure there is a cult following around them.
So we're getting a young Rambo movie, and we're getting a
Rocky.
Sylvester Stallone. So it's like the adolescent Sylvester Stallone cinematic universe is building. It is coming. No one asked for it. No one's prepared for it, but it is here. And what will be next? We'll get, I don't even know. Young Expendables is coming soon. A bunch of toddlers and preschool just beating down on some bullies. The young A-team.
That'd be so jokes. K-pop Demon Hunters 2 aiming to release 2029. Second I saw that movie, I looked at Victoria and I said, this is going to be the craziest franchise we've ever seen. I do not doubt, like I think they built that world really well in the first movie, that there's just so much potential for like this insane cinematic universe. And also it's Netflix. They're not going to shy away from a couple extra dollars, and they saw the success of the first one.
This is why I love Sony Pictures Animation, because no studio strikes when the iron is hot harder than them. We had Into the Spider-Verse, Across Spider-Verse come out, waiting 4 years to finally see it. K-pop Demon Hunter is the biggest movie Netflix has ever seen. Gives us a sequel in 4 years from now. They know exactly how to capitalize on it. And I'm being a little sarcastic because they take forever to make their movies. And who knows? Okay, now it'd be fun. Will we see K-pop Demon Hunters 2 or Beyond the Spider-Verse?
Stop. It better be Beyond the Spider-Verse.
The sad thing is you can't say with 100% confidence. You can say 99% confidence, but you can't say with 100% confidence.
No, I cannot say with 100%.
I can see a world where they fast track K-pop Demon Hunters, say we got to move that up. I can see a world where Spider-Verse gets another delay.
Oh fuck! I would actually end it all.
When is it even supposed to come out now? Is it next year?
2027.
Jesus. There's a chance K-pop comes out next.
Yeah. There really is a chance that they actually do just like rush production on K-pop and Spider-Verse gets delayed another year. I would stop. I don't even want to bring that into existence. Knock on wood. Couple of re-releases coming out. I mean, this isn't really news, just things I'm excited about. 20th anniversary of V for Vendetta and 20th anniversary of Pan's Labyrinth. So We'll be getting theatrical releases for both of those films, so I'm very excited about.
And December 5th, I believe, the whole bloody affair, Kill Bill getting a theatrical release.
Yes,
yes. Together.
I saw that as well. Completely forgot it. So are they just showing both movies back to back with additional scenes?
Yeah, I can't remember what the exact thing is, but there's footage that wasn't in the normal one. I think it stitches together a little more seamlessly potentially, but I don't know. I've never obviously seen the whole bloody affair, but I will see it in theaters. I love that. Yeah. I love Kill Bill 1. Kill Bill 2, I'm still not super high on, but yeah, I'll get there. Maybe seeing them back to back will help.
Absolutely due for a rewatch. All right, last bit of news is about Avengers Doomsday, but I don't care. So we'll wrap up the pod there. Sorry if you were itching for Simulu's comments on Avengers Doomsday. Shout out everyone for listening. Big episode, Frankenstein, Die My Love, and quick Predator Badlands release review. I don't want to speak too soon, but I think we'll have all four of us next week, which will be pretty exciting. I don't think anyone's told us that. Yeah, not that we've heard of yet. So it's been a while, I think, since we've been all four of us in the pod. So that's something to look forward to.
We got fun movies next week. We got The Running Man. Now You See Me, Now You Don't. Keeper. Some of these, the movies released next week, I don't think all will be even that good, but I think they're going to be fun to talk about. Keeper,
it'll be fun to talk about.
Oz Perkins going to be fun to talk about. Running Man looks like a blast. Now You See Me, Now You Don't.
I'm finally seeing Sentimental Value on Monday, tomorrow. Tomorrow. So
we can talk that. Carpenter's Son comes out next week. Jay Kelly gets a theatrical release. Nouvelle Vague, the other Richard Linklater film, gets a Netflix release. So like a lot of stuff's coming out. Eternity gets a limited release, so it's a big week next week.
Yeah. I don't even know how many of those I'm going to watch.
A very Jonas Christmas movie comes out on Disney Plus. George, are you not excited?
Yeah, I'll get to that one for sure. Shout out our executive producers, Ollie Powell, Stefan Johnson, and Cole Beaver. And like I said at the beginning of the episode, if you want to take a look at our patron perks, take a look at the links below. They're all there outlined very nicely for you guys. We will see everyone on Thursday for our next Real Quick, which will be another episode of our Letterboxd reviews where we review profiles of our patrons. So another reason to check out our Patreon. If you want us to shit on your Letterboxd, join us. And then Friday, we will be doing a double patron feature exclusive with It Follows and Michael Clayton. But that'll wrap up Real Talk episode 166. Peace.
Peace.